me.
Welcome to another episode of the We Love Gaming podcast, episode 59. If this is your first time attending the podcast, then welcome. If you are a regular attendee, then we appreciate you. It's another hot day in Southern California, IA. We toughing through it. I'm thinking that it's gonna start cooling down soon, but one can only hope, right? I mean, it is Cali, so the weather is kind of weird. It's everywhere. Patreon links below, just in case you guys want to contribute. Also, the shop is there, just in case you want to buy some fly merch. My name is Godly Sovereign, Marcus, but I'm not here alone. Of course, I had to bring the 1,000 Game Slayer once again, with me, like all the time. You know what I mean? Sir Knight, Ray, what's good, man? How was your week?
It's good, man. It's been really good, just trying to beat the heat like you said, I escape into the night and go for night walks now. Because I like going on walks, listen to books.
Yeah, man.
Gotta do it at night this time
going
of year,
out there
man.
melting, man. You gotta go out there like 9 o'clock.
You gotta go out there like 9, even close to 10. And then finally it kind of starts to get cool out there. But doing real good, man. Just enjoying the summer break. Like I said, playing games. Shout out to my sister. She just got a PS5. So she's a PS5 owner now. And I let her borrow Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, okay.
It's really interesting, man, because I thought that was a great game to let her borrow because she's not like this big grand gamer. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh, this is a great entry game. So I bought her Sackboy's Big Adventure for her birthday.
Okay.
And then I let her borrow Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart since I've already beaten it and practically 100%ed it. And because I thought that's a great way to enter, because in my mind, that's easy, right? Like Ratchet and Clank, that's simple. But dude, man, she's struggling, man. Like, it's too open. It's too, like, she gets too discombobulated on like the directions of where she's supposed to go and what she's supposed to do. And it just was a fascinating, I don't know why, it just made me think, because like it's really interesting, like where games are at, it's really hard to enter into games. Like unless like you start young, like you would be lost. Something that we consider like really easy is actually very confusing and very, discombobulating to somebody who's never really delved into these types of games at all, even though I thought it was like a great entry point. So
yeah, maybe you should have gave her something a little bit more on rails instead of like a bit open world. Because Ratchet and Clank
I was just thinking easy to play. I was like, my mind was thinking, I wasn't thinking in terms of like openish, but like easy to play. Like it's just a pea shooter, bloop bloop bloop. Like it's really simplistic to like learn how to play, which is what more my mind was at.
Should have gave her Returnal, man.
Yeah, to give her Returnal. Yeah, right. Would have scared her away from gaming forever, dude. But yeah, other than that, man, it's been a really good week. So, what about you?
My week's been pretty good. Been pretty chill. Just playing the regular stuff. Ended up getting a poker table.
Oh,
off of OfferUp for like the low.
Okay.
And then basically gonna like because it was kind of like a little beat up. I've been a little weathered, so I'm gonna like kind of.
Is that like your new game table?
Yeah,
board games?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't play poker like that,
right,
so
dope.
so
that's
we play
sick,
a lot
man.
of board games like on a weekly
sick,
basis.
Bro.
So,
cool.
Yeah, so we got the poker table. It's out there. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
We got like some like micro suede to put on there.
Because it's got that nice touch, right? Yeah,
stuff.
that's dope, bro.
So
cool.
we're gonna set it up and everything, and hopefully start
that's
using
real
that
neat,
soon.
Man. That's
so
real neat.
I'm excited about that. But other than that, man, enough of that other bullshit. Let's get into games.
Games.
All right. What'd you play this week?
So I spent the vast majority of my gaming time this week, which I put quite a bit of hours into it, man, into that Nier Replicant.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was trying to tell you, I was trying to beat that game, you know? And so I was kind of like really zeroing in on trying to beat that game. And I did, and I didn't. Because like I got to the end of the game.
They give you a Marvel's credit where you got to stay afterwards to like get a little bit more.
So I'm sure a lot of people who play this game are like, screaming at the monitor right now. Of course you're not done, but to me it's all new. I didn't know what these Nier games were about, but supposedly these Nier games, so like Nier Replicant, Nier Automata, one of their big claim to fame, or one of the things that are like really intriguing about these games that people I guess tend to love, is they have like multiple endings. Like, for instance, Nier Replicant, the original Nier that you got back on like the 360 and the PS3 or whatever, the old one, this is made off of had 4 endings in it.
Oh,
and the 4th ending is the one that Nier Automata, the new one that just came out a couple years ago, picks up from. So I got ending A. And so the ending I got isn't even where the sequel continues from.
Oh, okay.
And so that's bizarre. And so I was like, because it's the weirdest thing. So what happened was at the end of playing the game, it gave me an option. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it just get an option to say you can reload this clear file because I cleared the game.
Right.
You can reload this clear to see Kane's ending, and Kane is a character in the game. And I was like, okay. So I just figured it would give me another like cutscene or whatever from the ending of what happened with her. So I load it up to see, and I have like literally probably 40 minutes of text to read. It's almost like I'm reading like a couple chapters in a novel.
Damn.
That's really a lot. And it's giving me like her whole backstory. Like, because when you see her in the game, you see her as an adult woman and she's, you know, struggling or whatever, and you help her out. You don't really know how she got to this point. Yeah. So all this reading is like telling you how she got to when you met her. Instead of just
giving it to you in a cutscene.
Instead of giving it to you a cutscene, it's all text. Literally text.
That's kind of brutal.
It is brutal. And then, because I don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue. This is bizarre to me. So I'm reading through it. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to, that's whatever. This is cool. I'm learning about Kane.
Yeah.
Kane. And then it cuts to a scene in the video game that I already have played through, and it makes me replay it. And then it goes to more text and more like information.
Okay.
And then it cuts into the middle of the game, and I'm playing again. I'm like running around playing again. Literally from the midpoint of the game.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, WTF. I just wanted to see an ending, you know? Like, what is this?
Yo,
I have to keep playing through? And so that's when I whipped out the phone, and I started like, what is going on here, man? Supposedly, with the way this game works and the way like Nier Automata works is once you finish the game once, you get ending A. You start that save file again, and it re-puts you into the middle of the game, and you play to the end to see ending B. Then you start it over again in the middle, and you go, no, not new character, same character.
Oh, okay.
You just keep playing the same character, and it punch you back to the middle of the game. Yeah. You play through to the end, and you get ending C.
Is the ass end of the game that good that you can play that like 4 times?
That's where like I was like really struggling because it's like, dude, yes, like. So a lot of it I can like punch through because I've seen already, or I know the pathways, I know what to do now, so I can cut some time off. But like the second half of the game was literally probably 6 to 7 hours for me. Like from that point where it had me at, that was probably at least about 6 or 7 hours for me to get to the end. Now I can pass through stuff and I can like go beelining it to places because I know how the game works now.
Right, but
to
you
shave some of that
time
off, but that's gonna take hours, at least 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah,
and I'm like. So I have to go play another 2 to 3 hours for each additional ending. And then I guess there's a secret special ending in the Nier Replicant reboot. So there's a 5th special ending.
Okay.
So that's ending E. And I got to jump through these hoops to get there. And I'm just like, man, I don't know, dude, if I had the patience. I kind of want to like move on to a new game, like jump into Biomutant or even fire up Cyberpunk or play like Persona 5 Strikers, something new.
Especially when you find out you're nearly not even done.
Isn't that crazy? It's like I beat it, but I didn't beat it because I haven't got the real ending yet. The real ending is like the 4th ending, and you got to get every single weapon in the game to unlock that ending. So I have to go through and like buy every weapon from every blacksmith, to get that ending, which I haven't done yet. So it's like, dang, man, I don't know if I have the patience. It's a fun game. I like the game a lot.
Yeah.
There are some things that annoy me about it. Like, it's kind of weird because they do these weird things occasionally where it's like text and you have to read it. And there is this one weird section, bro, where like, in order to pass it, it's like, it's the level in and of itself is the text reading. Like, that's the zone. So, you know, it's like a hack and slash game, but like this zone I went into, its game is reading text.
So it's like a breather zone for combat.
But you have to remember the text because they'll ask you questions.
Oh, pop quizzes?
Yeah, about what you read. And it's like, I wasn't really paying attention to that. So I grabbed my phone. And you know how you look up like the quiz questions, or like in Persona 5, you look up like the day questions just to like not have to worry about it?
Yeah.
Dude, on this you can't do
what
that.
Was my favorite website for that shit. I'm trying to remember it. It was like It was game something, but it would literally give you the
Game
breakdown
Facts
of
or
like,
whatever.
yeah. Game Facts
Back
with
in
the
the
Q.
day, you did that. Yeah, with the
man.
Q. Yeah,
It
Game
was
Facts
that
with
was
the
the
Q.
trusty dusty.
Yeah,
man. That
someone
shit was
on
always
there had an
loaded on my
answer.
computer.
Yeah, someone had an answer there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I go on right to the Game Facts type thing to find out what's the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it can't give me the answer because
it's random.
No, because the text is unique.
Ooh,
to my game
They
playthrough.
got you.
And if you miss it, you have to restart it and it will randomize again.
Damn.
So I had to actually like pay attention and then answer the questions.
Oh nah, I don't want homework in my game.
Dude,
I don't want homework in my game.
it's like at least they kind of told me what to pay attention to though. Like the
Okay,
Game
like certain
Facts told me
keywords?
like what to look out for. Like look out for this line of text. Look out for this line of text and remember that. And I was like, okay, that helps.
See that type shit? I'm on YouTube finding out. Okay, what's near replicants? B ending, so I can just
I know.
watch it
That's what I
like
told
that.
my wife because I went on.
I'm
I
not
was talking.
doing that
I went
shit.
on. I was talking to my wife, and I was like, "Dude, I just experienced the weirdest thing with endings." And then she's like, "Well, is it fun enough to like?" I was like, "I don't know." Part of me just wants to go onto YouTube and like watch
Well,
the endings.
It's a lot already for you to like want to play a new game plus, right? Like the majority of the time, the allure of a new game plus is that you can like max out your abilities or whatever, or you can gain more items. That's like the biggest allure of a new game plus, you know? But the basic new game plus allures are just like, oh, to trophy hunt. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, so like you're telling me this game has to be like good enough for me to want to play through it again and again and again and again
Right.
to be able to get all of the endings, as opposed to me doing like what a normal game would do and you just cheese save it to like get the alternate ending, like for Dark Souls or whatever. Like,
Right.
oh, I'll just like
save
kill
here,
this person
and then I'll kill a different way.
Yeah.
And I get the ending.
right,
Or
something
like in
that.
Dark Souls 2, like there might only be like one additional ending you can get by playing it through again. Like
Right.
remember like the little dark things you had to collect? They were like worms or whatever. You
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
collect those and not pop them.
Yeah,
You had to collect them all and like not burst them. Because normally I think you would burst them to collect something, souls
Yeah.
or energy or something.
right.
But if you wanted this different ending, you weren't supposed to do that. And so it's like, oh, well, I only have to do that one more time. I only have to run through the game one more time. Nier wants you to run through it. Yeah, they do start you midway, but you have to run through all that content, like over
Yeah.
again and over again.
That's legit got to be a
for
fun
those
ass game for you to
It's
really
got
want to
to
do
be
that.
legit fun.
Yeah.
And it is fun, but some of it isn't that fun. Like I said, the word text is not that fun. The conversations aren't that great. It changes the gameplay sometimes. It's really bizarre. Like there was one zone I went into where it went like Diablo status, where I was like isometric, where I was like looking down at my guy running through like a maze and like a dungeon.
Yeah.
And I actually was like, wow, I think this game would have maybe even had been better
If it
had
had
it
stayed
just
like this?
been that way. Because it was really neat. You could really see your abilities really well as you used it. And I was like, this is really cool. So it's an interesting game in that like it throws kind of these different ways of playing the game at you within the game. It doesn't stick to one formula.
Yeah.
For the most part, it sticks to one formula, but there's these little ways that it throws these curveballs at you. But it is really cool, and the ending is really interesting. The ending itself was really insightful, but like the story up until the ending was very boring, very drab. But the last like hour sequence was really fun, was really interesting storytelling.
Okay.
It really piqued my interest. It helped me understand what Nier Automata is. Like it helped me know, oh, now I know, because I played Nier Automata and I didn't have a clue anything about the world.
Right.
And now I know. I never beat Nier Automata, else I probably would have known more. But this really helped me understand, oh, so that's what that is. That's what this is. And so I'm not going to spoil anything, but that was really neat. And like the ending sequence was like, heart-wrenching, it was very emotional and it was very well written and well done.
Yeah.
But the story up to that point wasn't very good for me. So having to play through all that point to get to like another decent, cool ending, I don't know if that's worth it to me. But otherwise, it was a good game. Definitely in the 8s, probably like an 8.5,
Okay.
8.4 quality game. It has a few flaws that push it down a little bit, and the drab colors and stuff. But otherwise, it was a really, really fun game. It's a little easy. I always, after my sister's situation, I always want to be careful to use that word easy.
Yeah.
Because it may not be easy. I don't know. We have me and you have way different perspective. We played games for a long time.
Right. You might be downplaying
I might be downplaying someone's skills. Like, that wasn't easy for me. So it's like, I don't want to say that it was easy, but I want to say that it was tailored in such a way. I'll say this, that it was generous with health potions. Okay. So it was very generous with health potions. There were some instances that were tough, but I thought the game was fairly generous with health potions that I can get through it without having to worry about constantly redoing or refighting bosses. Okay. Right? So, but it was a lot of fun, and you feel really strong and you feel really powerful, and I would recommend it. But that's pretty much all I played this week, man. What about you?
Nice. So I decided to go ahead and give Returnal a break. I had been playing it or whatnot, but I felt like it was kind of like time for me to just take a little break and move on to something else. Try some other things out. So I decided that I wanted to play Plague's Tale.
Oh,
so
cool.
I had downloaded it. That was one of the PlayStation Plus games for this month. So I was like, let me check it out. And it's interesting. It's like, it's good, but there's some issues I have with it. So like basically, Plague's Tale starts off with like you and your dad in the woods along with your dog, and then you're walking out there, and it's kind of like a tutorial. So like it shows you how to use your slingshot. You're supposed to hit some apples out of a tree. And then you have like a certain time limit that your father's giving you, like as a test of skill or whatever. So you do that, and then your dog runs off. You guys run across a
ruin the story for me, man.
It's literally like the first 5 minutes of the game. Yeah. So like you run off. It shows you how to like basically hunt a boar.
Okay.
So it's a moving target. It shows you how to kind of deal with that, with sneaking in the brush, the high brush.
You learn all the mechanics.
Yeah, and then some shit pops off, and then you end up going back to your residency, your place to live. This is like old medieval kind of time.
The setting is old time.
Yeah, medieval. So this is like, this family's probably got like quite a bit of money. They got kind of like a manor. They got a bunch of people working on their property that stay there or whatever. They got huts, and you got the main castle part, or not castle, but the big ass house or whatever. And then
manor.
Some dudes run in, and then it starts the chase. So
is that the whole game, is a chase?
The game is essentially you trying to get somewhere with your brother.
Okay.
So you end up leaving your residency with your brother, and then you just got to survive.
Running. So you're just running.
You're just running the whole time. Okay. So you're trying to maneuver around soldiers and guards or whatever that are looking for you, and just trying to move from A to B to eventually get to Z or whatever. There's 14 chapters in the game, I believe, and I'm at
so it goes by chapters, huh? Interesting.
Yeah. So
you put a good little time in then if you're at 7 or 8.
I put like maybe 3 or 4 hours in. It's not by far like a long game.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
It's a pretty straightforward 8-hour game. Yeah. There have been times where I messed up and I've died quite a few times, because it's literally you get caught, you die.
Right.
Like there's
one
parts
shot,
where,
one kill kind of thing.
Yeah, there's parts where you can run, but they literally catch up to you like lickety split. Like you ain't running fast enough, and you're carrying your brother, so your ass is gonna die. And then it's like they run up on you, they butt you in the face with their sword, and then they slash.
Do you like that mechanic? Do you wish there was a way to get out of it and like reset?
So there are ways to get out of it.
Okay.
But for the majority of the game, it's not possible because you don't find enough materials. I'll put it at that without giving
it takes
away
materials
anything.
to get out of it. I see.
Yeah. So you actually, because I was talking to Brahms about this earlier in the week or whatever when I mentioned it, but you actually have a slingshot that you can improve throughout the game. You can improve like a couple of things. You can improve the speed that it takes for your slingshot to get ready.
Right.
The amount
little
of materials,
RPG elements.
Yeah, the amount of materials you can carry. Some other things like that.
Right.
And then as you progress through the story, you get more than just rocks to throw at
see.
people.
Right.
So that improves and whatnot. So the basis of it is literally getting around guards and then getting around rats.
So is it basically a stealth game then?
It is a stealth game
Okay.
at its core.
Okay, so
It's
this is
strictly
like
stealth.
Thief kind of. The whole point is stealth.
Yeah.
It's not like a choice. Like you are gonna. It's part. It's,
You have to
It
stealth.
is the game.
Yeah, there's
okay.
no way that you could go through the entire game killing everybody. It's not possible.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's not like even like Assassin's Creed is stealth, but you could play it without stealth.
Oh, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
choice to be stealth, right?
That one's open.
This is where like the mechanic. Our game is stealth.
Yeah,
That's our
even Tom
mechanic.
Clancy's
So it's
Splinter,
like Splinter Cell.
You can still go through it without going stealth
even
if
that.
you like.
Right, but this one, you're
But
like,
this
okay,
is you have to go
interesting. That is kind of cool. That kind of is appealing, and I like stealth.
Yeah, and it's not a terrible stealth.
Right.
There are a couple of scenes that you come across where you're going, or a couple of points in the game where you literally gotta like kill somebody, and you gotta do this with a slingshot. And so, like, you have
Perfect hit. Huh?
You have like a targeting system, where you can like try to aim at their head and stuff like that. But honestly, I turned the aim assist all the way on. Like, you know what I mean? Like what?
Because the targeting system
is
not. Is that one of your? Is the targeting system not very good in that game?
Well, with the aim assist on, it's pretty simple.
Well, I'm sure with the aim assist it helps.
But it's like you have a target that's moving. So if you're trying to get a headshot, because that's the only way you can kill these people is by hitting them in the head with a rock. So if they move or if they're walking with a a wide step like this,
that aim is not.
You
working.
could possibly throw it and and it's off. You know what I mean? It can be terrible. So, but luckily the game isn't all about killing. It's just about running. So you're literally spending a lot of the time trying to figure out these puzzles on how you can traverse through this area without getting caught. Or being eaten by rats or whatever, utilizing fire and utilizing meat, so that could be people or, meat that might be hanging somewhere, curing or something like that. So, all in all, I actually think that the game is pretty fun. It's something that I do want to finish the story, and because it's
how
not
are the
that
graphics?
time-consuming.
Is it clear, pretty? 60? I mean, sure, 60 FPS.
I believe it's 60 FPS
it's not
because
like
we got
cloudy
the
or anything,
upgrade for the PS5 when we were given the game.
Right.
So as far as like the transitions and stuff like that, it's cool. Sometimes I feel like the calls to like climb on a ledge or to pick up an item aren't that great because you have to like kind of like look at it for a minute before it'll register it.
Okay.
Instead of like trying to run through and just grab stuff like on the move while you're getting chased. Like you gotta, stop for a second sometimes and like actually look at it in order to grab it. It won't just pick it up. Getting on ledges, sometimes you have to move quickly because you're sitting there sneaking, and it might be, just a tad slow at picking up that you want to get on that ledge or whatever because you have to look at it at a certain angle to for the button to press to come on and press up. But yeah, it's fun. I definitely think that you should try it out.
I do.
Because
I want to try it out.
I think all in all, it would probably take you like maybe 5 to 6 hours to finish it. And that's if you don't have like any fails with trying to do extra stuff. Like the majority of the time that I died is because I was trying to grab extra shit while in the midst of stuff. And then it's like, okay.
The whole thing where you have to kind of like look and grab stuff.
Yeah, because you're, while you're trying to traverse and not get caught, there's items for you to pick up, materials and things to improve your slingshot and all that stuff. So
it's like near. The majority of the times that I died was like falling off a cliff.
Oh, okay.
Because like I jumped in a way or I did a move. Like some mistake, like you're saying. It wasn't really because like I was playing bad or messed up. It's because you just made a mistake.
Yeah. And then, sometimes it's like, oh, you think you diverted somebody's attention, but like they came back and like I didn't stand there long enough to like peep out everybody's walking pattern.
Right.
And I ended up standing in somebody's walking pattern and I ended up getting slaughtered, so that's just what it is. But you learn from that and then you keep on moving forward.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm going to attempt to try to finish that if I can this weekend. But if not, then I'll probably end up finishing it sometime, during the week or whatever next
Sounds
week.
like you're almost done.
And whatnot. Yeah. I'm literally like halfway through the story. So, but it's a cool little story and it's all about kids. Like you don't got like no adults. So, it's cool seeing it from like these little helpless kids' perspectives. You know what I mean?
Because they are helpless, right? That's why they're sneaking so much, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the fact that they're getting slaughtered by these grown adults is
that's a little creepy.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah, a little creepy.
but yeah, so then playing that, and then I decided to hop on and download Dark Alliance, which is the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah.
I downloaded it on the Xbox because it was free 99 on Game Pass. So I was like, why not? It was new. Let me check it out. So I told my father-in-law to download it also, so I'd have somebody to play with or whatever and experience it. And I've got like mixed opinions about it or whatever. Like it's okay. You know what I mean?
I thought that game was like a Left 4 Dead, where like you're running from one point to the next, like one save fast to the next. Is it like that, or is it more like a standard RPG, action RPG?
So basically, you have like your character out of the 4 that they have, and then you have a game hub that you start in. So there's like a marketplace, there's a chest location for after each mission that you do, you have a chest that you open up for your rewards. And then you have a table that's a map. So the map will show you where all the quests are, like Dungeons and Dragons would be or whatever. And you select one, and then you select each act that you want to do. And so you select like Act A or whatever, and then you'll go to a spot. And then once your team is ready, you all go to that one spot, and then you guys will teleport to that area and then do that quest. So you basically complete the entire map, defeat the boss at the end, and then everything you've accumulated in that map during that time will then be shown to you as far as like items and stuff like that. Because everything you get, like you might open up a chest and it'll say like legendary item, like legendary helmet or something like that.
So do you have to play in a group? You
can play solo if you'd like.
But is it like NPCs required with you or something?
No.
Oh, so you're just by yourself.
You'll be by yourself, yeah. But the game can be brutal, you know, in some parts.
If you're by yourself?
Yeah. I mean, like, so, like, when I started my character off, its power level was at, like, 1200 or something like that, basic. When you look at the first quest, it's, like, they've got, like, different tiers, and they're different power level ranks. So the first one was, like, 1000, and I was like, well, I'm 1200, you know what I mean? I would do good in that one. Right. The second one was 1250. So I'm like, 50 points over, like, that's not really much.
But that was
Let me go check it out. So I did that, and there was literally, like, 3 or 4 ogres in there, and, like, the amount of enemies that was in there, I just, like, I couldn't get it myself. Like, I was literally dying repeatedly over and over and over again, and I just wasn't able to handle everything with the abilities and stuff like that I had.
So do you think it's poorly tuned then? The power level is not quite honest, or it's a little confusing?
I feel like it's literally made for you to go in with a group. Yeah. Like if the power level says it's 1500, they don't increase it and make it stronger with the more people you have. That's just the power level.
So when the power level says 1500, it's basically saying you want 4 people at 1500.
Yeah, everybody that goes in this should be 1500.
And we want 4 people
if you went in at 14 and I went in at 15 and somebody else went in at 15, you're going to be doing the weakest amount of damage to them. And you could probably die several times. Right. But we're still going to go through it because you got a couple of 1500s.
The single-player experience is more so you have to overpower it.
Yeah, you have to be overpowered.
Yeah. See, I don't like that.
Yeah,
that bothers me.
I would probably be doing stuff like, I mean, even when me and my father-in-law went in at the suggested power levels, we were still dying. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes there's a lot going on in there, and you basically have stuff. You know, you just got to survive. You know what I mean?
Right,
so then it's like it's trying to play to what you have. So it's like, okay, as you go through the map areas, there's certain sections where if you cleared out all the enemies, you get like a camp that you can put up if you want, and then that will start your checkpoint there. But if you don't, you can relinquish it, and then it'll boost your loot. So it'll give you like better loot options at the very end. So I think there's like 3 in each one. So you could boost it up 3 times and then finish it, and then you'd get better loot options as opposed to just starting a camp. And then it gives you like this Dark Souls type of thing where it makes all of the enemies reappear. So if you cleared out whatever was behind you, and if you cleared out some in front of you or whatever, and then finish that, then they would all come back. And then you just got to keep going. Is it
like really punishing? Like the ogres are one-shotting you, or like what makes it hard? You just get overwhelmed?
What makes it hard is just like having to, like, if you decide that you want to keep boosting up the loot, you have to go all the way back to the very beginning and then it's time consuming.
No, I mean that 1200. So when you went in there by yourself, it was 1250. You're like, I'm gonna try this out. I'm 1200.
Yeah.
What made it hard? What made it to where you were just getting ransacked? What was was it because they were hitting you too hard, taking too much life off you? You felt like you couldn't do enough damage. What was the factor that made it so hard?
I'd say the biggest factor is
Getting swarmed?
the amount of enemies and the poor combat. So like your attacks won't necessarily go to the nearest enemy. In order to do that, you'd have to lock onto them, and even that's not perfect. And then if you're just fighting or whatever, your abilities might take you further than the enemy, or it'll make you finish the move that you just clicked or triggered before you can actually dodge. So you can't just mid stop and then dodge. We've had plenty complaints about that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's just poorly polished combat.
Yeah, I mean, there was actually a couple of glitches that we've come across as well that were pretty annoying. Like we did one entire map, beat the boss and everything, and then we're stuck on the map section of the boss and cannot move forward because something didn't trigger.
So just game breaking bugs.
So it was just like, damn, okay, so I gotta go back to the party, the camp or whatever, and then I've lost all the loot that I acquired, or like. I stand here, like there's no other way around it. You know what I mean? I can't like leave and then come back. It's like the story is shut down after that, so you're kind of like stuck. But I mean, like I found like ways around, like if I go further or whatever and then I die, I'll just run past everything and go back to the area that I died at and then kill everything in that area and then keep progressing. Because most of the time you gotta like bust down something in order to progress to the new area, like a wall or something like that. So, that's how I was doing to kind of save myself time. I didn't want to clear out all of those enemies again.
Do you see yourself continuing to play it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I probably would need like
party of 4.
Maybe if it was like a party of 4.
Yeah.
It might be interesting.
Sounds like it might be fun with a bunch of friends, but definitely not on your own, huh?
Yeah, no. Solo, I would never play it solo.
Yeah.
I'll never put that on solo.
Yeah.
Just because it was just like, it was time consuming. I played the first map for like 2 hours and I just kept dying. Because I was not adequate enough for that, shooting above my power level. You'd think that,
but it was
50
barely
over
above,
wouldn't be that decimating.
So they've poorly explained the power levels clearly, because I think that is natural to think 50 power level, I should be able to survive this.
Yeah,
but that's clearly so the intuition of their power level system isn't quite clear.
Yeah,
which is a bummer.
There's other things that like you can actually upgrade like a lot of things. Like you can when you get the items and stuff like that from your drops, you can actually spend gold coins to upgrade them at the marketplace, so you can make them stronger and stuff like that to kind of boost up your combat level and whatnot. But there's really not a lot of loot that drops, man. I feel like it's really lacking in that part. Like you might get like 7 pieces of loot, but like the majority of them aren't like extremely better than what you've got. Like you got mad common items and stuff like that. So it's like this slow creep to get your combat level up, slowly and surely. And then of course, as you go to like the more higher tiers of combat level requirement, the more item level the items will drop at, and then stuff like that.
There's definitely a balance in game design, right? Where you have to balance longevity, right? As Mark would want. He likes the grind.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the grind, but I think you have to have a measure of grind to keep people playing your game, but at the same time, people need to feel like they're progressing. You need to feel like you're making progress towards getting stronger.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like they're not really striking the right balance to where like you feel like you're making progress for the hours you're putting into it. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be smoother, transition.
It sounds like
if you're
these are easy things
people,
to fix. It sounds like kind of relatively easy things to fix. Maybe tune down the difficulty, increase loot drops, and you might get people to really enjoy it more.
Yeah, but I was definitely surprised when you told me what the Metacritic score was for that game on the Xbox. You know? It got like 50 something
for the
like
critics
4.5.
and 4.5 for users.
So it was pretty shitty. But like I said, it's an okay game. You know what I mean? I kind of just wanted to try something different.
Sure.
That was multiplayer,
and that was GameStop's like biggest release, I think, last month.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a new one that came out, a $60 game, free on GamePass. So like that was like their biggest offering, and so a lot of people were actually excited for it, especially with all the I guess controversy or frustrations with Outriders.
Oh,
A lot of people were like, "Oh, cool! This is another looter game to come out that we can transition from. Since Outriders is disappointing us so much, we'll just move over to Dark Alliance." And it did not. People were not happy with how it played. It played really badly. It wasn't fun. It was very difficult. Like you said, the loot wasn't rewarding. So all these little problems it has, so everyone kind of went back to Outriders.
Yeah.
And Outriders is slowly but surely fixing its issues.
Games.
Like I said, when I played it, I would do one run and I would get like at least 1 to 3 legendaries on a tier 3, a world, whatever it was, tier 3 expedition.
Yeah.
I mean, tier 12.
Right.
So I was like 3 below. I kept saying 3. It's because I was 3 tiers below the max tier you could be.
Right.
I was like on a 12. 15 is the highest. And I was getting like 1 to 3 legendaries. So they really made it a lot more rewarding.
Yeah, I did play since that update or whatever, and I did like 1 or 2 runs or something like that. So I finished the 12 tier and I got to the 13. But you got to be like 48 for that, I think.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have enough materials to be able
I
to
got
get
to 13
48,
too,
so.
but I had to farm materials to get my gear up first before I jump into it.
That's slow grind.
That's
So
that
it would
slow
probably be a
grind.
little bit better if I had like, if I had joined in with you and my my father-in-law or whatever, trying to get in like that, but I didn't have that. So I tried it the one time just to see, I got 1 exotic or 1 legendary, but that was it. you know? So
Yeah, like I said, it was like between 1 to 3. But every time I did one, I was like, wow, this is so much better.
Yeah.
Because we would do multiples and get 0.
yeah.
So it's huge improvement.
But one thing I will say is that the fact that I played Dark Alliance without looking at the Metacritic score helped, because I wouldn't have given it the time that I did if I had seen the Metacritic score in the first place.
You wouldn't even have tried it?
No. So sometimes I wonder if like there being a Metacritic score is like just a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like I want to continue to play some of these games without ever looking at somebody else's review score, because I feel like that taints your judgment sometimes.
But it does.
Because you start thinking like,
it absolutely
what is all of the problems with it? You know what I mean?
But I mean, that's the point. It's supposed to taint your judgment. That's the whole purpose of a review.
I understand.
Because that's why you're trying to see if you should spend your time on it.
Yeah, I get it. And I mean,
right? So like you have to think about that balance too.
Yeah. I'm just thinking more like, the fact that we have the podcast or whatever. Like, nobody's going to even hear
that's true.
my point of view on it because I saw the Metacritic score.
Right.
And shit,
that's a good point. From that perspective, you're right.
Playing it and, I'm not recommending it to people to play.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to take some time and play it, go right ahead. It's not completely terrible.
Right.
It feels literally like as if you were playing a Dungeons and Dragons. If you were trying to role play Dungeons and Dragons at home with some of your family and friends, but like a digital version. The only thing that I would change is that you could actually get the loot and put the loot on at the time that you open the chest.
Yeah,
instead of waiting until the end of the mission, because that's rough.
That's a weird mechanic.
If you can't get to the end of the mission, then you don't get nothing.
That's
it's
really
just
rough.
Like, damn, okay, I spent like,
that's a poor.
I spent like
such
2
an easy
hours
fix.
on this map, and like I can't finish it because I came in here solo. And
I can't
change my gameplay because nobody else can come in here now because I'm locked in here. So this instance is just me.
That's a bummer,
I can't
dude.
get any extra help.
That's a bummer.
I have to have requested the help beforehand before I got in.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and they show it
damn,
to you.
and then I don't get nothing. And
they show
like,
it to you and you salivate over it, but they don't give it to you. Like that's really rotten.
You don't actually get to see the loot. You just know like, oh, I've got a legendary coming, or I've got
it just
an
tells
uncommon,
you the
or I've
rarity.
got an epic. Yeah, just
but that's what I mean. Like you get to see like, oh man, I really wish I could touch that, whatever that is.
Right.
Sorry. Like that's rotten, and that's an easy fix though.
Yeah,
that's a really simple fix. Just change it. Just change the coding. It drops, right? Just make it drop, not put it behind a wall, right?
Yeah,
like,
just give it to you.
That's an easy fix. Like it sounds like these are some really easy things that they can do to fix their game to make people enjoy it more.
Yeah, especially if you came in underpowered. You know what I mean? Something that you could get there.
Well, I mean that's just a normal RPG, right? As you kill something, it drops something immediately. You don't have to wait to pick it up. That's a weird, even thematic way of thinking of things.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're playing actual Dungeons and Dragons with somebody, like if something drops from a monster, you're able to grab that.
Yeah,
and
you pick it up.
It doesn't say like, oh, you got to extract it like in Divisions or something
Right.
like that. You know, like you get it.
I heard a lot of people. I wasn't sure if it's on Xbox yet, but Dungeons and Dragons Vermintide. That one's really good, supposedly.
Is it?
Which is very similar to this Dark Alliance.
Is that old, though?
Well, it came out a couple years ago.
Okay.
It's a few years old.
Okay, so
it's not like old.
GamePass.
It might be on Game Pass. I don't know if it came out for console. I know it was on PC, and a lot of people really liked it.
Yeah.
But if you really kind of are intrigued, I guess, by these Dungeons and Dragons games, like you should maybe check out Vermintide. I know that a lot of people really enjoyed that one. And Dark Alliance just didn't quite live up to the, I guess, hype. But... or I guess I should say hope. Didn't live up to the hope because a lot of people really liked the Dungeons and Dragons games, and they were really looking forward to this one. But it doesn't sound like it quite lived up to expectations.
Yeah, for sure. But that's all I played.
Yeah.
So enough with that shit. Let's get on with the quick shots. So the first one we're gonna talk about, we got a couple of delays.
Common
this
tale
is
these days.
Yeah, this is definitely always happening. It seems like it's happened way more frequently after Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah.
But I digress. I'm not going to talk about Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Ghostwire, Ghost Recon, and
Ghost Recon Extraction.
Yeah,
to be specific.
Is it Ghost Recon Extraction?
Yeah, it's Extraction, the alien one.
Right.
The new one came in. They just revealed it at E3.
Right. The one that was formerly known as Quarantine, that they changed that name because of the pandemic to Extraction. It's that one. That was Rainbow Six, though, I thought.
It is. Well, so is Ghost Recon is Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six.
Oh, okay. All right.
Rainbow Six.
They got
Ghost
a lot of
Recon.
damn titles for that shit.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, Ghostwire, Ghost Recon Extraction, and Riders Republic. I mean, that bitch
That's
has been pushed back this is like the second, maybe the third time or something like that. Like,
dude, I will say, like, whenever I've seen Riders Republic, I never want to play it.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Are you the same way? Like, whenever I see them, like they showed it at E3, I'm never excited to want to play that game. Like, I really think they messed up dumping resources, dude, into this game. You know, someone originally pitched this idea, and I think Ubi was all for it because, oh yeah, this is a multiplayer service game that we can keep. You know, this is our Fortnite, but with extreme sports, and that's what sold it. But dude, it doesn't look fun. Like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of fun riding a bike around, like, or you know.
Well, that'd be like X game type shit.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know. I know I'm speaking subjectively here in the sense that it's just my own personal preference. But whenever I watch the trailers on E3. For Riders Republic, I'd never had any desire to play it. So I wonder if they keep going back to the drawing board because they're probably maybe seeing the reception this game keeps getting, and it's very, I guess I should say lukewarm. Or it may not be hate, but it's very like lukewarm. There's not an excitement around it. Yeah, that they keep like, we got to fix this up, and they keep delaying.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, right? So when we initially heard of like Riders Republic, this was essentially supposed to be like a console launch type of game when the new consoles first came out. Then it was pushed back, supposed to be sometime this year. Right. So, like last quarter or whatever type of thing, but do you think that because Ubisoft is starting to head towards this like free to play gaming as a service thing, that Riders Republic might end up being the very first game that's like a free to play? Like,
I always thought it was going to be not free to play. I wasn't expecting free to play. However, I would not be surprised. That's a really good way to increase hype.
I mean, when you're looking at it, right, this doesn't look like something that the majority of people would probably buy. I mean,
I know, that's what I'm trying to say. It seems like a very lukewarm received game. This isn't what people are excited to play.
Right. So maybe, it could be similar to some of the other games that like I think last year that were supposed to come out and they ended up getting pushed back, and then we ended up getting them for free. Like from PlayStation and whatnot.
Destruction All-Stars.
Yeah.
I know what
right.
you're talking about.
I think there was like one other one.
Right.
I don't know if
Well, some games were shock, like Soulfire, like Oddworld, Soulstorm, or whatever.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that to be free. It ended up being free.
Right.
Yeah, like some of these games definitely like they appear like a normal release game with the price tag and end up being free.
They pop up as a free game.
And this one, I could see that happening, and I think that would actually help. I would think that would really help this game's hype.
I think it would
because
too.
this game needs hype.
Yeah,
it's lost all of itself.
I think
all
it would
the wind
help.
in itself.
It would definitely help it from getting shit on as much.
Right.
Like if you would have to pay $60 for this game, or $60 because it's from Ubisoft.
Right.
So if you would have to pay $60 for this game, and then it was an ass game, then it would definitely get decimated. But if it's for free, and they're going to be working on it, and they're just taking all of the feedback you're getting, it's probably going to get a low score, but it probably won't get hit as harsh.
If it's free, it won't get hit as harsh. And not just that, it will be kind of like the effect you were talking about. I won't even look at the scores.
Right.
I'll just try it because it's free.
Right.
I won't let the scores dictate whether I should buy it or not.
Because you're not actually putting any money on it.
That's when I think most people look at the Metacritic score.
When you got
do I have to
cash for
spend?
it?
Should I spend money on this game?
Yeah.
But when it's free, I'll just try it. Like that's how it was with Outriders, right? Like Outriders wasn't getting the greatest of scores when it first came out. It wasn't as bad as Dark Alliance, but it was like 67.
Yeah.
So instead of like 57, it was getting like 67, which was kind of poor. But I didn't care. It was free. I'm going to try it. And I ended up loving it. And I think that would really help Riders Republic. You can build a fan base of a bad game if it's free. Like you can build a fan base, and I think UB might need to consider going in that direction.
Especially if they try to be transparent and let you know that they are working to try to make this thing better. So they're trying to take all feedback.
If that's what they're trying to do,
yeah,
take feedback, then I agree.
I think that's the way you got to save like certain types of games, right? You got to kind of like call it how everybody's going to see it. Like, I don't know, we push this bitch back, but like, here's the reason why we're trying to work on it and whatnot, and we need some extra help. So like we need all the feedback of like things we should change because we think we got it, but we know we don't. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I just think those are good ways to help salvage a bad game, but also to help salvage like a bad idea. I just think this was a bad idea. I don't think this was. I think they would have been much more wise to put their time into like Skull and Bones and make that more of like a gaming as a service game. People were really excited to play pirate ships.
Yeah.
Not excited to play this. Like, so I just don't know if it was the best decision to like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. Let's dump our resources. Cause clearly you can see they spent lots of resources into making this game. Like a lot of their development team clearly is working on this, and therefore it can't fail. Right, like you can't fail. They've put too much into it.
It's Ubisoft. You can't really have bombs.
You can't have bombs, and so they're gonna do whatever they can to salvage it. And I agree. I think they need to go in the direction of really listening to feedback, or really almost taking ideas from the community, because it doesn't look that fun just watching the trailers, in my opinion.
So as far as like the 3 games that have been, delayed, and Extraction is another one from Ubisoft. So the fact that they were both delayed, I'm wondering if maybe there's like COVID issues or something like that. I don't know what's going on with
Extraction's interesting to me because that looked pretty good.
It looked like it was finished.
That looked like a game people would just come out and play.
Yeah.
Without needing more polish. So that's interesting. That might be a COVID related thing.
Yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo, that's Bethesda. Or that's the one that makes Evil Within, the studio that makes Evil Within.
Okay.
And that one's interesting too. I wasn't expecting, although we haven't heard a lot from Ghostwire Tokyo in a long time, since I think it was revealed.
Tango Gameworks.
Tango Gameworks, yeah, they make Evil Within.
Okay.
And those are somewhat well received, not the greatest of games. They got a pretty good following.
I think Evil Within is like a cult type of
it's like a cult type game. Yeah, exactly. It's like a cult type hit. It's not like well received by the public.
Right.
But clearly it was pretty in some regard because Sony purchased the exclusivity rights to this game. So clearly when Sony went to like shop around at Bethesda before the whole merger between Bethesda and Microsoft occurred, Deathloop and this game stood out to them. Right. And they wanted to spend money on them. And we can see Deathloop, they were right. Like they saw something awesome in Deathloop, and so they bought it. So I'm trusting that Sony saw something beautiful in Ghostwire. We haven't seen a whole lot.
Right.
And so it makes sense, like, okay, I guess I see why it's delayed, because we're coming up to this release date.
Right.
And we've heard nothing on it. So the delay makes sense, but it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Ghostwire Tokyo being delayed. That was another one of those games that had been presented as if it was going to be like a console,
Right.
like,
Launch kind of thing.
type of game.
Right.
But then it never ended up being that, and I'm still not really sure about it because I didn't see a whole lot about it. We didn't get too much of an idea of exactly what it is.
Right.
So I'm okay with it being pushed back.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I haven't been hyped enough. They haven't showed me enough to get hype enough to be disappointed.
Right.
Which is why I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, and I was never disappointed with Riders Republic. So I guess my out of the three, my bigger disappointment would be Extraction because I would think that one was pretty much done.
Right.
But hey, it is what it is. Let us know down in the comments below if you even care if like Riders Republic is pushed back or not, and if they should possibly make that one free to play to make that a bit more interesting.
I think it would do really well if it was free to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So on to the next quick shot. Square Enix, man. It seems that they just really didn't anticipate how much people were going to love Final Fantasy XIV. This was the the better cut or something like that, right? Like the complete edition or something like that. A Realm Reborn.
So they originally launched Final Fantasy XIV many, many years ago, and people didn't like the game at all. It was an MMO. And what's awesome, I guess, to piggyback off our last topic, was that they really listened to the community.
Yeah.
And
maybe I should try to download that one.
Maybe you should try. They basically, if you can find a code, they basically revamped the game. And you know what they did? It's really neat what they did. They actually nuked the game. Okay. So while you were playing the game, a catastrophic event occurred in the game, deleting the game.
Really?
So they wiped it out.
Okay.
From existence, and then they rebranded it as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn.
Okay.
And then you jumped into that, and within the lore of that world is the past game, and it's do you remember the catastrophe of this time back then, which is the actual occurrence? It happened in game.
Okay.
The apocalyptic event.
Yeah, so they made some drastic event that happened.
Yeah, that you experienced as a player on your literal game.
Yeah.
Being nuked, and then the Realm Reborn incorporated it as we're rebuilding this world that was destroyed, and that one was extremely well received. People really liked A Realm Reborn a lot, and that's when it got somewhat of a following. Of course, it never rivaled. These are MMOs we're talking about, but it never rivaled World of Warcraft as far as numbers. But this recent stuff, man, it's really funny because there is a Twitch streamer named Asmongold. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before. You probably haven't.
No. But
he's basically an exclusively World of Warcraft Twitch streamer. Okay. And he's hands down the biggest WoW streamer I think there is and there might have ever was. He regularly gets 50K viewers every day he streams. Tens of thousands of people watch this guy play WoW. And I don't play WoW anymore, but I watch him too because he's just so stinking entertaining. He's so much fun to watch. He's incredibly good at streaming. Really, really something special. And he has this massive following. And he complains a lot about WoW and its problems. And so he was everyone's well, why don't you try Final Fantasy XIV? Or why don't you try a different MMO for once? All you ever play is WoW. And he eventually, last week or 2 weeks ago, he finally loaded a character into Final Fantasy XIV. And he basically crashed the game. He couldn't even play it. He had such a massive crowd of characters following him around that he couldn't do anything. Yeah. He had over 200 and something thousand viewers per minute watching his stream when he first fired up Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Yeah. And he had 2.5 million unique viewers. So he had a constant rate of 200 and something thousand viewers, but it was unique viewers coming in and out. And that's excited people so much that you saw this rush on Final Fantasy XIV to the point where we're now reporting that Square Enix has run out of game codes. We're not talking about like physical copies here.
We're talking about like the
codes,
7 or 8 digit codes or whatever that you enter
numbered
in.
codes. They ran out of those.
That's crazy, man. Like, how do you? They're literally just generated. They're just populated. Like, they hit a button and then like boom, like 100,000 of them just get generated. So the fact that like throughout the time frame, you guys just ran out of codes to give. Like, is it still available to like purchase off the PlayStation Network, or is that dry too? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know about the PlayStation Network.
Or is it
That's
just PC?
question.
You know, on Steam or whatever. Like, and it's just
for
dry
sure
on
PC.
Steam?
I know that, but yeah, I don't know if there's no codes. No one probably wants to. Maybe no one wants to play it on PS4 or PS5. I don't know, but I was blown away by that too. Like, it's one thing. Like, I knew about this news, but it wasn't like, oh, this is news, man. Until I learned, I was like, wait a minute.
How big it actually
this
was.
isn't just like they ran out of games. They literally ran out of codes, which goes to show you that clearly they press their algorithm and have it pump out however many codes they think the next quarter is going to need.
Right.
And they just forget about it and they just work on the game
Yeah.
or do their work. They clearly didn't ever expect this to occur because they clearly undersold how much they thought their game would sell this quarter because of the whole Asmongold migration occurring.
I mean, I'm low key hoping that Asmongold like talked to Square Enix and was like, "Hey, how much are you giving me to play this game?"
Know,
you know what I mean? Like, hopefully
he
got some bread
arranged
off of
something
that
because he's really
he
blowing
had
that
a hell
up.
of a lot of pull for them to run out of game codes. They sold that much shit over the time frame. Like, damn. I wonder how much
nuts.
it is now though. Like, you know, just purchasing it like off of PlayStation
or like
that,
like if there's a scarcity of like on there's eBay, people scalping them.
Yeah,
people scalping reborn codes.
Selling there. Well, it looks like Final Fantasy XIV is still like $40, like $37.99 or whatever at Walmart. It's showing as $20 at Target for the PlayStation 4. Complete edition on the PlayStation is of course $60.
Right.
They're good at discounts.
PSN doesn't discount.
Yeah.
Jack.
So I mean, I don't know. Prices are kind of everywhere, but yeah. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV. If I find a deal on it, I might try it because I definitely like MMOs.
Yeah.
And it might be something to hop in. I did still want to try Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, getting on 15. 15's dope.
Yeah.
You're gonna really like.
I did
15.
hear that 15 was dope.
15's dope, man.
You know, I like the
and you got that free on
like
the
a
collection,
multiplayer
so
thing,
like
Yeah, for sure.
I hear you, man.
But that's
It's a fun story.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So on to something else that might be kind of crazy. So Nadji Jeter was on his Twitter account and he did like a quick little post and delete. And that's like normal for celebrities to do post and deletes, except for this post and delete was him in a MoCap suit. And it was actually looking like it could be a possibility of like a Spider-Man 2 sequel getting made right now. I mean, we all know that there's going to be another Spider-Man because of how well it did for the PlayStation. Now, I guess my question would be, was this a Spider-Man thing, or maybe he was doing another game? I mean, Nadji has done voiceovers for many other games. And so, I mean, it's like, it's great to assume that it's Spider-Man.
I would think it would have to be Spider-Man related. I mean, I can't imagine them seeing the success of Miles Morales and them not just immediately, let's start next one. Let's immediately start working on Spider-Man 2 and gobbling him up immediately. Mm-hmm. And he's got to know that's what he's most famous for right now. Is his role in Spider-Man 2. So I would think he would want to personally also focus his fame, right, in the direction that's most, exciting for him right now, right? Focus his flame, in the direction that's going to get him, the most success. And I think that's with Miles Morales. I think like he's found a lot of success here with this character and this role. And so that's what I think he would want to feed that flame. And so that's why I think he would show himself in a mocap, which would definitely feed that flame. Like, I think he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And the question I have, though, is this, what is this? I know that you thought it was just a cameo. I think Miles Morales was so well received that I think Insomniac and Sony want to incorporate him in a much bigger role in the second Spider-Man than he was in the first.
You think that it's just like a sequel to Spider-Man for PS4?
Yes.
And that he'll just be in it more as
Yes.
opposed to him just getting his own game.
Yes, I think he'll be in it more in Spider-Man 2. He might even get his own game too. But I think like they're going to incorporate him because I liked him a lot. Like I really, really liked Miles Morales. I liked Miles Morales more than I liked Spider-Man 2. And I loved Spider-Man 2. Right. But just Miles Morales was so good. The characters were so much more likable. I liked the ending a lot on Miles Morales 2. It just was really, I said 2. It's not Spider-Man 2, but it's like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
But Miles Morales edition of Spider-Man because I really enjoyed it. And so I can see them going like a GTA route, right? Where like you have multiple characters and you're just maybe selecting and jumping between them as you need quests to complete. And maybe like, Miles is in this part of the city and Peter's in that part of the city. And you're kind of like, I'll play as Peter until I run out of things to do. And then I'll pull up my little mini map and go possess or whatever Miles and do his things and kind of maybe do that type of thing. I'm not saying it will be that, but I'm saying I can see them going that route to really incorporate both of them, together.
Yeah, I can see them trying to combine the two. I mean, but my problem would be like, I feel like Spider-Man himself, Peter Parker, is a big enough character, of course, to carry his own game. And I feel like now Miles Morales has become a big enough character to have his own game. So I feel like Miles Morales would literally just be like swinging through like a couple meetups or something like that with Peter, but it would be still a game about Peter Parker. And then Miles Morales would have his own, and maybe they go off and do like, some Into the Spider-Verse type stuff or something like that or whatever and try to branch off because, I mean, the original Miles Morales, Peter is supposed to be dead. There's supposed to be no Peter. So the fact that you keep bringing Peter in, you know what I mean? It just is like, it definitely veers off of the comic path, but like,
Sure.
I don't know exactly where they're going with it.
Well, because at the end of Miles Morales, they were both patrolling, so clearly Peter's not dead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So they've
I know
gone a different
he's
direction.
not dead in this game, but
Right.
in the comics, he's supposed to be
Right.
dead when Miles Morales
Right.
comes around.
Right.
So I just don't know where they're going, but I feel like I would rather have Miles Morales as his own game and then Peter Parker as his own game, and then they have like two different stories. Sometimes they cross and co-mingle.
Oh, so you would rather it be their own game?
I would rather they be separate. Yeah.
Okay.
I would rather they give Miles Morales a large enough game like they gave Spider-Man in the PS4, and then that there's still another Spider-Man for the PS4 game. Like I would hate for them to try to put those two in there together because I feel like one would get outshined by the other, and it would be like, well, why'd you even put the other character in there? You know what I mean? So it's like you're gonna have like a 50-50 game. You're gonna try to Last of Us 2 this. Like I don't.
Well, I hope they don't go the Last of Us 2 route where you're playing through half the game as one character and then you switch. I would rather the GTA route where both are playing in the world and you're just switching between them as you want to. That's how I'd prefer it. But we'll see. Maybe he'll just be a cameo or maybe he'll be more involved. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I think clearly him doing that shows that they are literally in the middle of making that game.
For sure. I mean,
and
that's
that can
be
be
the
exciting.
the only reasonable explanation as to why they would have ripped that picture off of there.
Hey,
as soon as he
dude.
posted it.
Hey,
no,
yeah,
you can't do that.
No one knows this, man. What are you doing? Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, like, I mean, Spider-Mans have had a trend of doing this, right? Tom Holland has done that plenty of times where he accidentally shared some information that he shouldn't have, and they immediately ripped that from the internet. But once it's out there, it's out there.
Right.
So I'm just I'm glad that they're still making them. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
Insomniac is working on a couple of other things.
Those games are so popular. Spider-Man 2 sold so many copies. Morales sold so many copies.
Probably sold copies on copies because they had the PS4 version and then they had
they
the PS5
rebought it,
version,
right?
so.
You rebought the PS5 version.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome, man. Like so.
So I mean, maybe we'll hear something about it. By the end of 2022. I kind of think that this probably wouldn't come out until 2023. No.
Probably. We'll probably hear about it next year. Maybe the end of next year, but definitely probably 2023.
Like mid 2023.
I hope it's early to mid, not like the end of 2023.
Yeah.
I hope it's sooner than that.
Right.
But we'll probably definitely start to see things summertime next year of this game, footage and stuff of this game, which is exciting.
Hopefully, you know, that they started making it, or at least doing all the coding and stuff like that for the world as soon as they got done.
Right.
With the
That's
first
what I'm
two.
hoping. I'm thinking
You know
once
what I
they
mean?
saw how awesome this game was received, they immediately dumped resources to get another one out. You know.
And I mean, it's probably fairly simple to just build off of the world because they're still in the same city. You know what I mean?
I
You're
agree.
just gonna add more things
Right,
to
I
it and
agree.
take some of the things
It's like-
away that you did in there.
It's like we were
to make it
talking about
refreshing, but
with Horizon Forbidden West, right? Like,
right.
or like I said, once you built that first shoe, the second shoe should be much easier to make because
Right.
you're just building off what you've already built. You already have the architecture there. Just build it. Because I thought Miles Morales looked plenty beautiful enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it to be that much more beautiful. Just
No.
use that architecture and give us a new experience, right?
Right, yeah, just add some new things into the world. You're still in New York, you know what I mean? Unless you're adding a different scenario. And that's why I feel like they could be separate games because, like, you have all of the stuff that Peter Parker's done, but, you know, you have all of the trippy, like, different, like, to the right, you know, stuff that
Yeah, the
Miles
only
Morales
reason
has
why,
been
like,
into.
I don't know necessarily what will happen with that, it just depends. They're making both the games at the same time because I don't know how. Because right now the hype is with Miles, not really with Peter, and so I would think you'd want to capitalize on
Off the Miles hype.
Miles hype.
Right.
So, would you just forgo Spider-Man
Spider-Man
2 and go Miles Morales
2?
standalone or 2?
Yeah.
That's why I don't know. That's why my mind jumps to the, you know, they're playing
Putting them
together.
together?
That way you're kind of capitalizing on both, you know? Otherwise you're waiting until 2025, 2026 for the next Miles game if you're trying to do a standalone. If you're just trying to do another DLC, it's shorter, it can come out sooner. But if you're trying to do a full-on standalone Miles, that's years out. And I think they would want to capitalize on the hype now. But there's no way to know. Like, we're completely speculating here.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking you'd want to definitely capitalize on the excitement people have for Miles right now.
For
in
sure.
some way, shape, or form, you know? So
Yeah. It would be also cool if they could start incorporating some of the shit that's happening in the Marvel's universe with some of these games. Like, you can actually see some of the changes or whatever that get done, you know?
Dude, totally.
Like the Sacred Timeline.
I would
being
like
broken
that.
and
That
different
would
things
that's
like
really
you know,
cool.
That would be
yeah.
tight. If they could start incorporating
If they can
Marvel
really get
games
the
into that
canon
stuff.
lore together.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can. Or even just pieces.
Well, I mean, I think
right? Even just
I think
pieces.
Marvel still owns the. Actually, maybe that's Sony.
No,
that
Sony
still
owns-
has that. Yeah, they still have
Sony
Spider-Man.
owns
Just
Spider-Man,
all in
yeah.
total. So, yeah, but you know, on to the next one. Google Stadia. We keep hearing about them every now and again. You know, I almost would think that they'd be dead by now. You know,
They're
but
trying a new business model.
They're struggling. But you know, this seems like another struggle move. But it looks like Google Stadia now is offering like cuts of the profits for game devs just to like make a game for them.
Yeah, but what's really weird about this is it's unique because they are going to be giving the game devs cuts of the monthly subscription profits based on game sessions that people play.
So like if I just started subscribing to Google Stadia and then I play like Outriders or something like that on there, then
Even if you just log in for 20 minutes, that counts as like a session.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're on for 20 minutes or 10 hours that day.
whatever.
That counts as a session. And the more you keep logging in, the more money
is going to that
goes
game
to
developer.
People Can Fly, right? The game developer.
Right.
And if it's very high, they have a lot of retention, player retention. They get up to 70%
Wow.
of the profits.
So it just sounds like now that Google is really just trying to keep it afloat.
They're
Like,
trying
they
to
put
get
money
people
into
to
it
come
and
over
it's
there.
bombed and it's sinking, but
they're almost
just
giving
trying
all the
to-
money
to
away now.
pitch wide
Yeah,
out.
here's all of it.
We just want people to keep
Come
using
here
it.
and make games for us. The thing is, what I'm concerned about when I hear this model is games aren't like that, right? Like, let's say, for instance, A Plague's Tale, the one you're playing right now.
Yeah.
You're going to play that game for 2-3 days and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no retention there. So there's no incentive for a developer to want to make a game like Plague's Tale now. They're going to want to make a Fortnite. And so Stadia
or some type of an MMO or something
or
like
some
that
type
that
of
you
an
can keep on
MMO
adding
that
to.
keeps on adding.
Yeah.
And that's not the direction I want my games to go in. I want the Plague Tales. I want The Last of Us, the
story games,
the
yeah.
story games, the Near Replicant, all the games we love. I don't want to see those go by the wayside. And Google is incentivizing developers to not make those games, to put those games by the wayside, make games that people play every day, all day. And I get like that's where the money's at because Fortnite and GTA Online and these games are making money hand over fist.
Right.
That's the direction they're going. But this even like further incentivizes that game development direction, and it undermines the true profits these standalone games make. Because like Last of Us and like Miles Morales, these games make tons and tons and tons of money. So there's lots of money to be made in these games.
Yeah.
That I don't think Google is really taking into account. So I don't know if Google thought necessarily about this angle with the fact that, wow, we're just going to get people making Fortnites for us now. I think they want all games, but they're not understanding that a game like Plague the Innocent, is only going to be a game someone logs in 3 times.
Right.
And then they never come back to it, and that developer doesn't get any cut. So why would he bother producing a game for you? And so I don't know if Google went the right direction here, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly,
you're right. It's like a stab in the dark. It's like a desperate attempt.
Yeah,
at
it's
something.
your last stand,
Yeah, it's attempt at something.
I think that this isn't really gonna matter. You know what I mean? I think the people who are already playing Stadia are gonna continue playing it, and there's not really gonna be a lot of new people coming to play it. It's just there's just too many different variables that are at work that just make Stadia not really worth it. Just because you got to buy the game and it's specifically on Stadia, you can't play it on anything else. It's not like buying a PC game, that you can use whatever,
Right.
So it's I feel like Stadia is already sunk, and it's just literally trying to get everybody back.
This
up
is
to the
one
shore.
last desperation attempt. You're right. Like, I just think that they're not understanding the type of developers they're going to attract with this. They aren't going to attract the type of developers that I think that they want to have these cool, unique gaming experiences.
Yeah.
On their platform with this pitch. It's very enticing though. What dev wouldn't want 70% of the profits that its game makes? Not just what the game makes when you buy it, but
part of the subscription.
The subscriptions profits.
All you gotta do is try my shit.
That's really incentivizing for a developer. But
I'm definitely making free to play games.
Right, you're just making a bunch of free to play games.
I'm just gonna collect off of your subscriptions.
Right.
I'm gonna make all my shit free to play.
They're gonna have
give me some of your
they're gonna have a
subscriptions,
bunch
man.
of Candy Crushes on their system, right? Just really dumb games that people log in every day to. Nothing great. What I mean is like nothing great, nothing award winning. They're not gonna have anything awesome like that. So they're really putting themselves into a niche area. Maybe they do know what they're doing, but I don't think it's the direction that doesn't excite me to want to go, oh, I'm going to subscribe to Stadia now.
Yeah,
like
sure.
You're saying. It's not the people who have Stadia will probably keep playing Stadia.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get me any more excited to buy it.
You know what gets me freaking excited though? Hogwartz Legacy, man.
Totally.
The fact that Hogwartz Legacy is coming soon, right? It's coming probably like early 2022 maybe?
Yeah. Sometime in 2022.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sometime 2022. But it's slowly, we getting news or whatever, but the latest news is that they're going to include the dark arts in there. So we talking about like selections now. You're not just going to play a good guy. You can play a bad guy now. And that's like right up my alley. I love doing all the wrong shit in the game. Like I like, picking all of the options that will piss somebody off and allow me to attack them or whatever. Because it's just fun to do something that's outside of my character. So, the fact that they're adding like the what were some of the curses you were talking about?
Like the death curse.
The death curse.
But that was one of the more controversial ones.
Okay.
Because death, right? You can actually just curse someone to die, which is kind of like something that you don't really. It was very frightened. It was very spoken in hushed terms in the movies,
right?
Like the death curse is like, oh, the forbidden.
Yeah, that's the most taboo.
Yeah, like the most taboo. That's the word. It was very taboo to talk about like the death curse. And so to hear that they're including these dark arts into Hogwarts, I don't think I was really expecting that. I think we always we always as gamers,
you're just playing as a student in the school.
You're a good guy, and the dark arts are the bad guys,
right?
And you're trying to go to the bad guys.
But I mean,
but
if
that
you
can go the dark art route.
Yeah,
screams Fable to me.
If you got Slytherin and shit, you know what I mean? Most of them dudes is assholes, so you gotta be able to go to the dark side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you got to, but the fact that they're actually putting it in there, they're telling you that you can go, you know what I mean? That's like great news, you know? I hope that it's not specific to any kind of, class or whatever that you going to, no school or whatever. Like,
it's just
you
choices.
Gotta be Slytherin.
It's just choices.
Yeah, I hope I could be Ravenclaw and still go bad.
You can be Gryffindor
or Gryffindor and still
use
go
dark
bad.
arts. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
And I mean, maybe there's just like a light and dark type of thing where you could do some dark arts, but you're still considered
balanced.
Good or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like neutral,
right.
chaotic good or something like that, But yeah, that would definitely be cool. I would like to see if you could actually, like, I'm sure that the Curse of Death has got to be like the very last curse that you could acquire.
That's
if you were going on the full dark side.
You imagine just dead?
Yeah, so I wonder if you could like start like cursing like NPCs, like full on NPCs that are supposed to be there. Like you could curse like freaking anybody that's like one of the teachers or something like that.
Dude, I don't know. That's a lot of
take them out of the game.
Yeah, kind of like in Elder Scrolls, right, where you can actually kill main characters.
Right,
you can kill them off.
You just their story.
You no longer get to experience that side quest, but like,
but you can X them out.
You can actually X out like main characters.
Right,
that's always fun. Games that do that. I think Fable allowed you to kill
bad like that in Fallout,
right?
You can really kill main characters in Fallout.
Right.
That'll shut down the whole quest line.
Yeah.
X them out. That quest line is done.
It's a trip, right? But you get to loot their body and like take their stuff. So you're like, it's a choice, right? You're like, he's got a powerful gun. Yeah. I think I want that hammer. So I think I'm gonna kill this dude to get that hammer or whatever it was.
I'm all about options, man.
Yeah,
just give me the options.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
that's cool.
So that's good. I'm definitely hoping to actually see some gameplay of Hogwarts Legacy, soon.
We're waiting for that.
Yeah, because we're just waiting. But it's supposed to be like
Gamescom maybe
the beginning of next year. So
I'm hoping Gamescom maybe shows us something in August. Who knows?
Maybe so. So the last quick shot that we have is actually about Kojima. I know we had talked last week about well, it was last week, right? That we talked about the director's cut, Death Stranding director's cut and whatnot. So it looks like Kojima actually wasn't that pleased about the director's cut talk that was getting put out. I guess he doesn't even like the name director's cut.
He clearly like this irked him enough to make a post about it,
to tweet about it, right?
Because you would think it was like, well, I disagree with that, but whatever. He would just keep his mouth shut.
Which is weird because your game is titled as a director's cut, so like you had no say.
And that's another thing too. Like the game sounds like he had no say.
Yeah.
But I think that's because like we were talking before the show that I just think he let Sony market it for him.
Right.
Because they have all the marketing money. He just makes games, But he definitely didn't really like, clearly, if it irked you enough to make a post about it, a tweet about it, then it means that he really didn't like it. He didn't like his game being called the director's cut. And basically, I'll read the quote for you. This is what he said on Twitter. He said, "A director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it, or because the running time had to be shortened," which we all agree. Oftentimes, a movie gets shortened, or it's too long, so they cut things out of it. So it's not the director's full vision, right? Like with the Snyder Cut. There's a lot cut from that movie. In the game, though, it is not what was cut, but what we additionally produced that we included in this new edition. So how about Director's Plus? He says. So in my opinion, I don't like to call it a director's cut. That's what he said on Twitter.
Right. So I know that in the comments of last week's video clip that we put out for talking about Kojima and Death Stranding director's cut, somebody had mentioned in there that there was already guns and stuff like that, in the game. I can't remember the full details of the comment, but he was saying that there was pretty much a lot of that stuff that was already in there that was being shown.
Right.
But this sounds like, this isn't just like, some stuff that was clipped out. Like they worked on some things and added more stuff into the game. So, I mean, that sounds like, good news in there. And I'm surprised about, the stuff, but I always see the videos of like packages getting shipped and dropped off and stuff like that when the game is advertised or even brought up by other people. So it always leads me to believe that that's all this game has. So, I mean, I might just try to grab it just because, it's on a cheap thing.
The thing is, I think it is. Like, I know that guy commented saying, no, there is guns, but I do think that while we never said that there wasn't guns. We just weren't sure to the extent or how many guns there were. But I do think that the game is encouraging you to avoid combat, like to get to run past or like get through an area or sneak by, like not engage, someone who could hurt you or take your package from you. Yeah. I do think the game is encouraging that route of play more to where it is more like FedEx the game. Where I don't think we're completely wrong there, where it feels like in the trailers that we've been given, they are very much so emphasizing combat, right? Where it didn't seem like they were emphasizing that before.
On there seemed like it had more action in there than...
Right. They were really showcasing the action too. Like, hey, look at new melee moves. Look at a package delivery launch system. Right? Where you can launch your package over long distances. Clearly, I'm thinking to cut time. Like, in my opinion, I think this is what you were saying before. They heard the community. They heard some of the complaints about the game. That it was a little boring. Right? And they went in and made additional content to add into the game to kind of change its direction. And that's what... it worked because it excited me. So what they showed me excited me. It alleviated my concerns with at least how I perceived the game to be, which is FedEx the game.
Right.
I perceived it to be that way. Yeah, maybe I have to buy the game and actually dive into it to learn that there's a lot more to this game than just delivering packages. Yeah. But the bottom line is that's how I perceived it. Like you said, every trailer I saw, all the gameplay clips I saw was me running around.
I mean, you've seen some of the like invisible monsters or whatever that's in there and the baby and stuff like that, but it just seems like it's a different version of like Plague's Tale, you know what I mean? Where you just getting through the game. You're not really... Combat's not like the high priority on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's how I perceived it too.
It's just story.
That's how I perceived it too. So I mean, what we said last week about the director's cut was that we thought this game fit the title director's cut better than like Ghost of Tsushima because the content was mixed into the game. So it feels like a different retelling or a different style of how the game plays. Right. Where Ghost of Tsushima director's cut is just bolting things on. It's not like incorporating it and it's a whole new experience now. Right. Where Death Stranding feels like it's going to be a whole new experience. So using
if you did play it the first time from
even if you did play it, it's going to feel like a whole new way of playing the game. Yeah. So I think tacking on, that moniker or whatever, director's cut, is appropriate for Death Stranding, where it may not, in my opinion, be very appropriate for more Ghost of Tsushima. Right. But Kojima thinks it's not appropriate for any of these games to be called director's cuts.
Yeah, which they should just name a DLC.
Yeah, I don't know why is Sony feeling this need to call them director's cuts. Like,
I don't know, maybe because it just sounds better. It just sounds like, ooh, like the director, Kojima just like left some shit out. And so he's like going to put it in here now and it's going to be super long and it's going to be super weird or some shit. I don't know.
So it just makes you want to buy it again?
It's more enticing. A director's cut is more enticing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't name everything like the Snyderverse or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's just like a catchy name, and it kind of alludes to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
But
it draws
might not
people
be
like
that.
you and I in too, because it's like if Death Stranding didn't really appeal to me before, adding DLC won't appeal to me now because it's the same. It's the same game.
Right.
But
right.
if you call it director's cut, it makes it seem like it's a whole new experience, right? Like the Snyder Cut was a completely different movie than the original Justice League. Like it's just completely different. I don't know if you've watched it or not.
I have.
But it's like
It's
a whole
definitely
different feel,
Yeah.
a whole different pacing. All the characters feel different. I mean, it's just a different movie in a
Yeah.
lot of ways,
And
so,
it was interwoven.
and it was
within the
interwoven
movie.
into
so
the
it
movie.
was watching a whole different
Right.
movie.
Where I think you're right, where Sony is trying to make new people want to jump in and play it rather than just recapturing their current base with DLC.
Yeah.
Right. So
But you know, let's I guess let's go ahead and finish with the quick shots. Let's move on to some of the main topics. So I mean, since we were talking about Ghost of Tsushima and whatnot, let's just hop into Ghost of Tsushima. I know last week we had talked about it and we were complaining about that $30 price hike that they're giving us. You know, the way they're breaking it down, it's like $20 for this director's cut, you know, with the island of Ikushima, and then it's $10 to give you that PS5 experience on there or whatever. So we had a problem with that $30 price, but it has recently come out that this $30 game or this $30 price inclusion or this $20 DLC upgrade isn't just like some, you know, measly upgrade, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours of gameplay. This shit is possibly 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. So this is damn near like trying to fit a whole nother Ghost of Tsushima in this small island and then charging you $20 extra to play this, you know, 30 if you like the PlayStation 5 experience on there. So does knowing this now, knowing how many hours of gameplay you would get in this Ghost of Tsushima add-on, like change your opinion on the $20 for the game?
So I never had a beef with spending $20 for the DLC. My biggest beef and my biggest concern was them charging me $10 to get access to the power of my PS5, right? Like I said before, the fee or my tax, because I think we're taxed to play at 4K 60 frames per second, is the price I paid to buy the hardware.
Right.
The $600 I spent nearly to buy that system, that is my tax to have access to 4K 60 frames per second.
Right.
Charging me an additional tax on top of that just to use the system that I have, that is ranked to me. So I don't like that marketing strategy. I still don't think that was the best way for Sony to go to market this. I would have been much more, I guess, persuaded by this price tag had it been you're paying $30 but we're giving you 20 more hours of gameplay. That sounds like well money spent, right? Because Miles Morales was $50 and that was like 8 to 10 hour game, maybe like more like in the 8 to 8 range.
Yeah.
And that was worth it to me, right? It's not quite a full game, but it almost is.
Yeah.
So $10 more, like at the 60 price range, I might get a 10 to 12 hour game, which I think a 12-hour game was worth about $60.
Yeah.
A full-fledged, you know, character, all the bells and whistles of a AAA game in 12 hours, I think is $60 is probably a fair price.
Yeah.
So giving me a dumbed down version, 8 to 10 hours, I think that was fine. $30 for 20 hours though, like that is quite a deal.
Pretty solid.
That's pretty solid deal. Now, we don't know if that 20 hours is side quest. We don't know if that's gathering quest. We don't know if that's like mindless junk.
Just going and doing you know, the castle, you know, the area takeovers and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, outpost takeovers. Like we don't know.
I don't think it's gonna be an actual story. You know
I don't think it's 15 to 20 hours of like a storyline campaign. So I think they might be joshing us a bit on that, but sounds like there's a lot of content here. And I think if they had marketed it that way, like, hey, look it, we're giving you a whole island with a whole new, like you said, mini Ghost of Tsushima on this island.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have 15 to 20 hours of game time and gameplay for $30.
Mm-hmm.
That would excite me. Now that sounds like a deal. That sounds like the sucker punch who gave us Legends for free, right? That sounds like the guys who are trying to give us a lot for little, right? Not where like, no, sorry, 10 of that dollars we're charging you to fire your PS5 up.
Right.
Like that is ranked to me. So that's kind of like my take on it.
Yeah, it should almost, you're basically saying it should be like $30 just in general.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Whether you bought it on the PS4 or the PS5,
Right.
the fact that you're trying to tack on an extra $10 to be able to get the PS5 version of it is kind of trash.
That's what I mean. Yep.
I think that it's like, it's probably mostly more apparent or whatever because it's like 20 plus a 10,
right?
You know, whereas you have like Death Stranding, which is just charging you $10. It's giving you the extra content. Mm-hmm. And then you're also included with a PS5 version of it because I think it's $10 either way.
Right.
If it's PS4, it's $10. Mm-hmm. If it's PS5, it's $10. If you have the PS4, it's $10. And then when you get the PS5, you'd be able to play it with the PS5 features on it. So it's like either way you're shaking.
That's how I imagine
it's
it
$10 for the extra content.
Right.
It's not $10 to be able to play it on the PS5, and you got the same shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So. You know, it's I understand what you're saying with the marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they had just marketed it differently, it wouldn't feel the same. Or at least if everybody, maybe it's like a combination of like Misery Loves Company. Like I'm getting shafted to play it on my PS5, so you guys who still have the PS4 should get shafted as well.
Yeah, it's not that. I'm just saying.
It's like they could have changed.
Yeah,
it.
I'm not. It's definitely not Misery Loves Company. It's not saying I think they should be shafted. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that I think that 15 to 20 hours of gameplay is worth the $30.
Yeah,
and I think they could have got away
with just saying
$30 for the
also
extra content,
includes extra features.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just think that we should get the extra features as PS5 owners because we spent the $600 on their console. Right. Like that's what. It's like, dude, we gave you the money already. We already paid you for access to what the system can do. Mm-hmm. You know, why are you doing this to us? That's more so my frustration.
For sure.
You know, but
so on other news, August is coming up, and there's been rumors of the State of Play. And we got them pretty quick, like kind of like right after the last State of Play for July. We were getting little inklings of rumors for the next State of Play. So I was going to ask you, right? So last time we talked about the State of Play, when we were giving predictions and whatnot and going off of rumors, we were hearing that, you know, all of the talk of like God of War Ragnarok gameplay getting shown at the next PS event. And then we hear about the new State of Play and we're thinking like, oh, well, that's obviously the next PlayStation event, right?
Right.
Of course, it was not that.
Mm-hmm.
It was Deathloop. And they showed that as like their main priority. That's what it was all about, basically. They showed us indies, but that was what it was all about. Now, this month, we're getting the rumors again of next month, but it's like, you know, not taking it the same way again. You know what I mean? Because these rumors, they're saying like, oh, there's going to be Horizon Forbidden West stuff. There's going to be God of War Ragnarok again, you know, type stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of reluctant to even believe that because of what is actually coming out this month and what they could be, or in the month of August.
Like a Kenna
and
or something like that, right?
Like Kenna is the biggest one. But I mean, they also have Hunter's Arena Legends, which is one of the games that they had talked about
in the last PS event.
Briefly at the last State of Play. And there's assumptions that that's going to be one of the main games of the free games to play for PlayStation Plus for next month. Yeah. So it's like, you know, do you feel like they would even show you know, having the God of War Ragnarok or even giving us like Horizon Forbidden West? Or is it just that's going to be some fluff and they're basically just going to they're going to showcase Kenna? Because Kenna hasn't gotten a State of Play yet. Okay,
so what I think about this is it depends. If this is going to be a State of Play, then I don't think we see God of War. I don't think we see PSVR 2.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Horizon Forbidden West, depending on when they're planning to release it. if they're releasing it fairly soon, like October, November
of this year,
you
think it's that far done?
Well, I thought the game was going to release this year. I was always under the impression that it released this year.
Okay.
They didn't give us a date.
Right.
It looks done. When they play it, it looks done to me.
Right.
I was expecting that game to be released this year. It may not be. I would not be surprised if it pushes to 2022. I'm just saying that game is much. I'm saying Forbidden West to me is much more far along than God of War. I'm saying Forbidden West is the one game there that we've seen quite a bit of already that implies it's pretty much done. And they're just polishing because they showed us a lot of gameplay that looked very done. Yeah. The combat looks done, the sneaking looks done, the world looks done, the water looks done. Area it looks done to me.
Yeah,
they're holding back the date, but honestly, I think they're holding it. It's like in the can. I think it's like a movie that's in the can, and now they're just waiting. When's the right time to drop this thing for the best profit? Right. So I think that is a game that I can see them doing a whole state of play on, kind of like with the Deathloop or Ratchet and Clank, where like we might see that.
Right.
But I think they're holding it. I think they're going to hold Forbidden West in a can and wait for the right moment. Therefore, I would think if it's a state of play, it would go the route you're saying, like Kenna or these other big titles that are definitely releasing, that are like absolutely releasing.
Right.
But if this is an event, like some kind of event,
okay.
Right? Like a showcase event.
Something that's other than a state of play.
Yeah, something other than a state of play, like it's like their answer to E3, like an event.
Right.
Then I could see all these rumors hitting. Okay. I can see God of War being shown, Forbidden West, PSV2, this event where we're dumping our vision for next year on you.
Right.
Right. And like, this is it. Then I can see all these rumors. So it really, for me, depends on the scope that this thing is going to be in August. This is going to be just another state of play, or is this some kind of event that Sony's prepping for? No. And also, they're not going to be at Gamescom, they announced this year.
Right.
So does that mean, once again, they're prepping something big for their own thing, their own deal?
Yeah. I mean, what was the last thing that was supposed to have happened? E3, right? And they didn't show up to that.
Didn't show that.
And they also didn't give us anything huge around that time. So, I mean...
And the state of play they gave us wasn't huge either.
Right. So, maybe it's just another quiet moment for them that they're, they just don't have anything that they're willing to showcase to us. Or maybe they're just doing like some extreme long build-up. To like a super hyped event with like a bunch of shit that's just got everybody jaw dropped.
Absolutely.
I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's definitely something that I'll be looking forward to hearing more about to see what we expect. I definitely think and would not be upset if they gave us a whole section of Kenna.
Me neither.
For the next state of play, because that's what's coming out. And I feel like that's on a lot of people's radar. It's going to be like, I think it's going to be like the next big, Sony title.
I would agree. Like, if that's what we get in August, it's just a state of play, and it's kind of, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be happy with that because I'm excited for that game. And even the other games that are coming out, if it's Hunter's Arena, I don't know how I feel because PvP or whatever bothers me. But that's a cool looking game. Like, if there's certain games coming out that are really immediate, I want to know about the games that are coming out immediately. I don't want to know about the game that's coming out holiday next year. Yeah. Right? I want to know about what I'm playing this month or next month.
It's cool you mention it, but don't show me no shit. Just move on to the stuff that I'm going to get soon.
That like really pumped me up for Deathloop. Like, they did a really great job.
They did.
It really pumped me up. It almost made me go and buy the digital version.
Pre-order it?
Because I get the 10% off for PS Plus members. Okay. But I still want the physical copy. But I'm saying, like, it was so cool that it made me, for a split second, think, dude, am I just going to pre-order this thing now? Because it looks dope.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm fine with them going that direction. Like, I really am. But I'm also excited if they want to do an event, too. I think it would be cool for them to still sit back some of that thunder. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember the sales reports, I think in June, Xbox sold more consoles than PlayStation in North America. Okay. Not overall worldwide, but in North America, they sold more. And I'm wondering if that's recourse from E3. People got, hey, wow, that's really cool. Game Pass looks dope. I think I'm going to go buy an Xbox now. We don't know what that is. I'm just saying it'd be cool if I think Sony came along and tried to steal back some of that thunder and say, hey, no, look, this is the best place to play games.
For sure.
With an event, an actual event.
I mean, do you think that the Steam Deck will be the best place to play games at coming up?
Dude, the Steam Deck is some serious news, man.
That's, I mean, it seems pretty heavy, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know where this came from.
It seems heavy, like heavy news, right? Like,
I wasn't even like expecting, another handheld to be launched or anything like that. But this seems like it's possibly, it's gone further than any handheld has gone before. This seems like there's almost no limitations to this thing.
Right.
So the Steam Deck, it was announced
2 days ago.
2 days
Thursday,
ago, right?
14th, I believe.
So this thing, like, do you got the specs pulled up for this sucker?
I don't. Well, I have the specs here.
Okay.
I do know it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. It has a 8 RDNA 2 CU GPU, an AMD Zen 2 processor, 7-inch 1200 by 800 display. So that's why I say it's a little bit better than 720.
Right.
It's like 800p. It's a little bit taller. The reason why that is because it's got a 16 by 10 aspect ratio screen.
Okay.
So not 16 by 9, which is the normal aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And it has 3 different storage capacities, depending on how much you want to pay.
Right.
So the $399 variant comes in at 64 gigabytes of storage. The 539, I believe.
529.
529 variant comes in at 256, and the 649 or 629.
649.
649 comes at 512 gigabytes.
Right.
And what's so exciting about this thing? First of all, this isn't like a meme. You know when they launched Steam, the Steam machine? Remember that? The Steam machine?
I believe so.
And it had like just a controller and a little like Steam box, and you like linked your PC to your television.
Right.
And no one bought that.
Yeah.
And they were like doing sales on that, but like, hey, if you just buy our controller, we'll give you the Steam machine.
Box for free, yeah.
And no one took that serious at all. No one's laughing at this, man. Like no one's joking at this. This is really serious. And I think the reason why is to be honest, in my opinion, this is like lightning in a bottle because it just so happened to work. I don't know if they had insider information, but Nintendo did not launch a Pro model.
No.
And you know, OLED, they announced OLED a couple weeks ago, so they would have been ahead of this because Steam Deck just announced today. So they could have got ahead of this. Like Nintendo could have got ahead of this problem.
Right.
And said, hey, we have a Pro model and it's going to play all the third-party games like you want. It's going to play Witcher 3. It's going to play Phoenix Rising. It's going to play Assassin's Creed.
It plays everything, it seems like. Damn near.
Nintendo could have got ahead of this, but they didn't. They didn't launch a Pro model. They just launched this OLED
this
model.
old piece of shit model.
And like the very next day, almost the very next week, Steam comes out and says they like immediately capitalized on that frustration. People were very frustrated that there was no Pro model. People really wanted a PS4, PS3 in their hands, and Steam says, "This is the time, man. Let's reveal it. Let's launch this thing."
At least a
and
PS3,
they did,
right?
At least a PS3, and Steam says, "Here it is. This is what you wanted. We're delivering it." And when you start to dive into it, you're like, "Holy crap! This is what we wanted." Yeah. This is the Switch Pro that we all wanted, because the GPU is a 2 teraflop GPU, which is a little better than a PS4. PS4 was like a 1.86, I think, or 1.9 teraflop GPU. This is a 2.0 GPU.
Right.
It has the newer architecture than what the PS4 has. This will run games just as good or better than a PS4 will, and that's all we wanted. We wanted like a PS3 at least, but a PS4 ideally. Yeah. In the palm of our hands.
Now, when you guys were first shooting this to me in the chat, in the WLG chat, I was like, so what? Like a Steam Deck, it's like, okay, a handheld, that's like $400. Like that's the same price as a PS5, digital version or whatever. Like, why would I pay $400 for this? You know what I mean? And then I started looking at it. You guys were talking about it a lot more, like filling me in on some of the stuff because I hadn't had a chance to like watch the video all the way. But the fact that you've got a unit that is essentially a mobile PC for sure. Like this thing could literally probably run everything that a regular PC could. So you could get your Microsoft Word going. You could get whatever going. You can hook.
You can use it as a
keyboards,
desktop.
mouses. Yeah, if you plug the dock up to it to the screen, it's literally your CPU and all of that. Like, it literally can hold files and allow you to do homework, whatever. And I was just like, dumbfounded, because like, if you look at this as just like a central hub for something, you're talking about, you can use the regular Steam app setup that they have in there that makes everything easy and gives you like a different way to access Steam. But if not, you could probably access your Epic Game Store. You can access GamePass for the PC on there. So that's going to give you a lot of gaming options. And then, because it's Steam, you also have access to any of the PlayStation games that have released on the Steam store.
Yep.
So now you're able to play Steam or PlayStation, Xbox, and then whatever
all the
other
PC
games that come out.
Literally any PC game in the world you can play.
So literally the only thing that you cannot play on this is Nintendo games, Nintendo first party games. That's it. So, I mean, I was looking at the prices, you got 400, 530, and then 650, and it's like, oh damn, like, $650, $700 for a handheld console is like batshit nuts. But I do see that there are some good upgrades that would make it worthwhile to not go with the basic model of the 64 gigs and at least start with the 256, because of the fact that there's an SSD internal storage.
Right.
So that means those heavy games, like even trying to play like Days Gone on there, is gonna load a lot quicker on that system than if you were to play on the 64, because that one's got an eMMC storage or something like that on there. And then if you get the 512 version, you get that SSD internal storage, and then you also get like this anti-glare screen or something like that on there. So they are adding a little something extra on there besides just saying, hey, you're paying this much to have more data.
It's gonna be a little nicer screen.
Yeah. Right. It's gonna be slightly more nicer or durable or whatever of a screen. And then I thought it was cool that they give you a carrying case with it, so that it's fit to go. The Switch never had that. You always had to that was an accessory thing that you had to buy down the line. But I mean, it just seems like it's nuts. Like, they allow you to plug in a USB Type-C hub, and then you can plug several other items in there too. So it's just not limited
exactly. You can use one
connect.
USB, and you can connect a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, all into that one USB.
Right.
This is a PC, a personal computer, laptop, desktop. Like, you honestly can literally, if you wanted to justify the $650, like, let's say you have an old desktop computer, you can literally get rid of your desktop and make this your desktop, because you just put it on your counter. It's like the smallest, like a Mac Mini.
Yeah,
it's like you just put it on your counter, plug your monitor into it, and you literally, like you said, you're editing videos, you're doing homework, you're writing letters, you're writing your books, you're doing whatever you want, like a desktop computer, and then you can attach that, take it with you, and you're literally freaking playing Days Gone in your hands in your car. I mean, like, it's really incredible. This is really, really awesome.
I mean, with seeing this Steam Deck, is there even a reason for Xbox to even be like contemplating a handheld device?
No. To me, a lot of people are talking about, PlayStation, more so, not quite as much, but more so than Xbox, because this is going to give you access to Game Pass. So Xbox, they did it. They did it for us. They went and spent the money. They developed the system. We didn't even have to do nothing.
Yeah.
And we're going to... Dude, you cannot tell me this is not going to increase Game Pass subscriptions. Microsoft is ecstatic about this. This doesn't help Sony that much. It does a little bit on Steam with a couple games. They have like 2 games, I think, that you can get right now. Days Gone and...
Horizon?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But it really helps Microsoft in a way that I'm shocked. That I've never seen before.
I mean, it's literally like the best case scenario you could get, right? Because like, fuck xCloud. Like, we've been waiting for a long time for xCloud to actually be something good, because you just have it's too
Cloud
many
isn't
variables.
viable. It's too hard.
It's too many
the
variables
tech
that
isn't
you have
there
to
yet.
worry about in order to properly utilize xCloud. But the fact that you could just have the Xbox Game Pass for PC on your console, on that Steam Deck, and then be able to download any of the games, and all you had to do was just log in and be able to play them, so there's no like lag or anything like that. All it is you just had an internet connection to log in. You don't need anything else.
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
what
this is
people
great.
need to understand, while it's so mind-blowing, is because we think of something so tiny like this and not understanding that you're literally downloading the full freaking game onto your console.
Right.
Your handheld, the full game, all 60 gigs, right? 50 gigs onto your console and playing it directly from your hard drive. No cloud interface,
Right.
no cloud trash. Like, I know Mark, we've talked about it a lot, wishing, well, what if Nintendo Switch went with cloud-based xCloud? And I always shit on it because I don't like xCloud. I've played it, I've tried it.
It's
Even
rough,
when
though.
I'm right next to my freaking router,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And so
I mean, it's just as
This
bad
ex-
as trying to play like, the PS4 remote play or something
Just
like
as
that.
bad
and
as
you're
PS4
on your
remote play.
internet,
Exactly.
right there in the living room. Like
this is
It's
the
lag on it.
dream that we've all waited for in a handheld, a machine that is a PS4 in power and has enough hard drive space and ability to download games directly to it, to play it off your own hard drive like a real game, is just what is so shocking about this thing.
yeah, you can download Windows to be able to like
You
run
can download Windows and
stuff
just
on there.
run Windows on Steam.
Because it's got like a Linux processor or whatever, right?
Well, it's operating
running
system.
off- yeah,
It's running off a
operating
Linux,
system off of Linux.
operating system, but you can
Right.
just download Windows 10 onto this thing. Especially if you have a 512 on there.
Right.
You can easily download that, take up 60, whatever, 80 gigs.
Yeah.
And you have plenty of space left, and it has an expandable storage slot.
And an
so you can
expandable
just
storage
expand
slot.
that storage if you need. This thing is pretty future-proof.
It's
16
micro
gigs of
SD,
RAM
man,
on
but-
board.
Yeah.
That's more RAM than you'll ever need. That will run very fast, very smooth. If you're running it as a desktop, it's going to feel snappy because it's got the solid-state drive and it's got the 16 gigs of RAM.
Right.
You're not going to feel like you're missing out on anything. So that's why, like, in my mind, it's like if you want to just replace your desktop, dude, and it goes with you wherever you go, or
This
you
is
leave it
it.
at home, this is it. You got it.
It's
and it
so
has
out
the
of the way.
controls
All you gotta
already
do
on
is
there.
mount yourself a computer screen on the wall or whatever,
Yep.
and you got yourself a little desktop right there, man. And
I
that's
think
able to go.
I think Microsoft is ecstatic. I think they were cheering when they saw this. You saw Microsoft come on and congratulate them.
No, I didn't.
This is the great direction to go in. It hasn't been nothing from Sony.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been nothing, I think, from Nintendo.
Okay.
I think this really hurts Nintendo a lot. Like I said, just so happens because they
Yeah.
didn't bring a Pro out.
Man.
Because people who are like thinking about buying an OLED are going to be like, shoot,
Why would
actually,
I buy
I'm going
that?
to go here for $50 more and I can get this.
Or at least, like $200 more, and then you got something that's just
$200 more,
that's
you can
capable
use
to
it.
play everything
replaces your home
except the
computer.
Nintendo. Keep your old Nintendo Switch, and then just buy this and be able to play all of that shit. I'm kind of salty now that I haven't been on Steam and then on Epic,
have a huge
just
Steam
getting
library.
all of the
Yeah.
games that they just
Especially
be giving for
Epic.
free. 'Cause
Epic
it's
I haven't got onto, yeah.
It's like, damn, I never grabbed them before because I didn't have no reason to. You know what I mean? I don't PC game, but this is like, it's a PC thing, so I'd be able to grab all that stuff. And then I can only imagine like the packets of like emulators and stuff like that, of like the pirated games or whatever. But like, they gonna be having some shit on there, man. It's gonna be plenty of them Steam decks that's playing mad pirated Nintendo games on that.
Oh
bitch.
yeah,
And it's gonna be
absolutely.
easy.
For me, when I saw this and I dug into it, and like when you were digging into it, it's like, God Lord, this thing does everything.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like they just shattered our mind and like, why didn't we think of this already? Because gaming has always been like this walled-in garden, right? You buy into Sony and you're in this walled garden. There's only these things you can do. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're like walled in.
Right.
Or you buy into Nintendo and you're in their
stuck into
ecosystem
that,
and
yeah.
you're walled into what. I mean, Nintendo doesn't even have Bluetooth, for crying out loud. The Vita did.
Right.
The freaking Vita from like a decade ago had Bluetooth and Nintendo still doesn't, right? So like you're stuck in this little walled garden, and that's how I think we've always thought, well, that's normal. And so when you see a new console come out, your first thought is, oh, this is going to be Steam's little walled-in garden. What will Steam allow us to do? And Steam says, no, you can do whatever you want with this.
The Nintendo Switch does have Bluetooth.
I don't think it does. I don't think
believe
Nintendo
it
Switch has
does.
Bluetooth.
Let me see. Trying to look.
I'm almost positive that it doesn't.
Maybe it's their.
It has
own
Bluetooth for like
stuff.
the controllers, yes,
Yeah.
but not like I can't connect I cannot connect my
headphones.
AirPods to
Okay.
it. That's what I
Alright,
mean by
I
Bluetooth.
got
Yeah,
you. Alright.
you can't connect external devices to it. They lock you out of that.
Yeah,
Their
for
device
sure.
may be capable of it, but they use software to lock you out because
Right.
they only want things that they want attaching to
Or
it.
you gotta go about some roundabout
Or
thing,
some
trying to
roundabout
get
jailbreak
Bluetooth
it or
on
something like that,
I
right?
got you. All right,
That's what I mean.
continue.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you hear the Steam Deck coming out, and you're like, okay, what are they going to let us do? And Steam's like, nah, you can do whatever you want with this thing. And it really hit me when I was watching that Q&A video.
Yeah.
Did you watch that video?
Right.
He asked a question, yes.
The
He asked a
IGN
question,
one, right?
yes. The IGN one.
Right.
He asked a question, yes, yes, yes.
Essentially.
yes, yeah. There was
Yeah.
no no's.
Right.
He said, you want to play VR on this? You can. It's like, are you kidding me? I can hook my Oculus Rift or whatever and
Right.
play on this thing?
I'm wondering now, like, okay, like the Oculus Quest was like a win, right? Because it was wireless and all of that stuff. But, if you were to get like the Oculus Rift 2 or something like that, that has to be attached to the PC, it's not really that bad if you're able to tuck this thing into a backpack.
And
or
then you can
something
play
and
VR
you're
on the
wireless,
dude.
But you store all your games on this thing. Like the Rift might be cheaper than the actual Quest. And you could that could boost sales in the Rift. The fact that it's
Absolutely.
it's movable like that.
It was just a trip, right? To hear them constantly say, yes, you can. You want Bluetooth? Yes. You want to hook up a monitor? Yes. You want a dock? Sure, we'll build one. But if you don't want ours, you can buy one from Best Buy. And they were like not even afraid. Jim Ryan and these guys, whenever they have interviews, they're like so on script.
Yeah.
Like it's just like mechanical.
They don't want to give you a yes or no.
They don't want to give you nothing, and they were really careful. They didn't seem to care. It was such a great launch, man. Like, I think they're going to sell millions of these things, and in my mind, dude, they might have just unlocked, in my opinion, the future of gaming.
I think it would really be like a solidified, future adaptation or whatever.
I
If
mean,
they
like
could
the
have made it,
PS6 will be
modular.
this. I'm saying like the next PlayStation
Could be something
will
mini
be
like that.
handheld, but all the power's in your hands, and you can hook it up to a television if you want. All that usability
Now
is what I think the future is.
my thing. Okay, so they've got the Steam Deck and it's got the 720p and all of that, and it's pretty strong or whatever. But I'm wondering if they could possibly create some type of dock that would be able to give you that 4K, out.
They do. I
production for that.
think Mark said that they do. The dock will upscale it.
It will
to
upscale
4K.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
it'll upscale it.
It won't be
give you,
native.
like, the native.
It'll be
or anything.
upscaled. And the reason why this thing works is because it's going down to 800, 700p.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not working so hard to give you high resolutions,
Right.
it can run everything else beautifully. So you can run like Days Gone, or you can run like Portal 2 in like 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Because it's only pumping out 720p resolution.
Right.
So because this thing doesn't have to work at pumping out high resolutions, it can play everything. And
I
it
still
plays
wish it
everything
would have been
smoothly.
at least 1080p though.
Yeah, I
That would've
agree,
been
but I
nice.
understand that the architecture around why they would do that, because it allows them to play anything now.
Right.
And I think that's what I also mean by this being the future. In our gaming history, whenever a handheld comes out, it's always been like a separate console that has its own separate games.
Right.
Where Nintendo kind of changed that. They made their Switch come out, and it's a handheld console, but all of our first-party games, all of our major games are going to play on this thing.
Right.
Every game we make now will play on this thing. I think that's the future. I don't think Sony needs to come out with like another Vita.
No.
And like say, here's a Vita, and developers, now you got to produce separate games for it. I don't think anyone's going to like that.
They just need to start a PC division.
But it's like, hey, here's a new Vita, but whenever game comes out, it plays on it. That's what I think is the next gen leap.
So
Where,
you're
like,
saying
any
PlayStation would
game-
still have their own proprietary thing, but all of their games would
can
be able to play on that as well.
on that as well. It's not like a Vita where like you're playing a separate Vita game.
Right.
It's like, no, when freaking Ghost of Tsushima launches, I'm playing it on my PlayStation handheld.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing it on both of them. And I think like that's the leap forward that I'm thinking they might have missed on this next round that Steam saw.
But also, do you think that they could forego those like exclusive only on PlayStation titles and make it so that they release on PC as well? at the same time. So like now
that's
you're getting
another
new
route.
titles that
See,
are
that's
not just on PlayStation, but now they're on PC, so you can play them on the Steam Deck.
That's another route they could go without. So basically, the Microsoft route.
Yeah.
How Microsoft got lucky here because they're already on PC.
They're already there.
And so it's like, gosh, this is so intelligent what Steam did, and Microsoft is like, shoot, man, like we just basically
fell into this
cash crop because people are going to subscribe to Game Pass now. Like it's going to be like an Xbox machine, basically. Because you could play all the first party games on it. Because all the Xbox games will launch on it and you can play them right on your Steam Deck.
And I'm sure they got to be like working on an application that is just as smooth as the basic Steam application is. That you would be able to just download that and then run that without having to do any extra stuff.
Exactly.
You know? Like without having to go out of your way to try to like get the Microsoft, the Windows or whatever on there and all of this and stuff.
Microsoft is like, no, here's a Linux model.
Yeah, here
that
it
you
is.
can use.
You can
right?
just click on that.
Yeah.
And then it'll open it up just as if you were to open up the little Steam one that they have on the console, and boom, you're able to put all your, your games and stuff.
I wouldn't even be surprised
if it's there at launch.
Dude, if they
it should be.
Dude, at launch. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, now we're going to start launching first-party games on PC as well, day one. Because usually there's a lag, right? There's a few-month lag or whatever because they want to push the console. But now they're going to be like, wait a minute, what are we thinking? We want to sell subscriptions.
They just want subscriptions. Yeah, and that's the reason why they're including these. You know, there's been the rumors of them including these Xbox Series S's or whatever within a TV, being able to play the game within the TV.
Put a Series S in the TVs now. Yeah, exactly.
They don't even have to worry about any of that shit. I mean, they can if they'd like, but it's not even necessary. Like, you have this, you know what I mean? You create yourself a TV app, and then you have this.
You're right.
A Steam
make
app,
an app.
And that's it.
Just make an app.
That will download shit onto the TV.
And you're going to have a stinking...
You got to put in a USB stick maybe to hold the data.
You will sell so many subscriptions.
TVs probably ain't got enough data on there, but
it's just it feels antiquated now to play on a console, right? Like my PlayStation 5 console,
right?
It feels a little antiquated. It's like, wow, you could just literally, we're at the point now where you can put that into a handheld. It's like, wow, that feels old now. All of a sudden, when this launched, it felt like my PS5 became old, like immediately.
Well, it didn't feel like
not
that to
old.
me,
it's not old, but you know what I'm saying? Like just practically in my mind, the notion is like, wow, this is going away.
It makes my Nintendo Switch feel old.
Well, it definitely makes the Switch feel old.
It's like, damn, like literally,
dude.
I mean, I was really only playing this Switch for the first party games on there, but like legit show, like that's all Nintendo is going to get away with selling on this bitch.
Absolutely.
It's their games. Like,
maybe
third
some
party
indies
shouldn't even make shit on here.
The third party shouldn't even try it because, I mean, what
it's
competition?
It's not needed now, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. I think Nintendo
crazy.
Should be like a tad worried, which I'm happy. Nintendo needs to feel some sweat, man.
Yeah.
Like, their success has only made us suffer. They're so successful they can release an OLED model.
They don't got to do no
They don't
extra
gotta do nothing. So
shit.
we suffer. This competition is so much needed.
Right.
Like, Nintendo had a monopoly on handhelds, and now they don't anymore. And so it's like, this was just really dope news. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out to get one if I can.
I hope that this works out the way it is. And pre-orders are going right now. So if you can pre-order it
you
before
to find
the window
a way
closes.
To pre-order. I heard it already sold out, the first batch. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye out.
I think you could probably go on their website, like on Steam.
Yeah, they're doing like a $5 reserve thing.
Yeah, $5 reserve. So, I mean, that's interesting. I don't think I'm gonna go for the 650 one, but I might be inclined to go for that 529 just so I can get the solid state drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the 256 gigs is cool, but I got
it's not bad. It's like little over $100 more for a solid state 256 gigabyte drive. Like, that's worth it. It's a deal,
Yeah, just for the faster download speeds and moving and stuff like that. Yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah,
I feel, especially if you could possibly use this as a desktop.
You can always expand it later.
Yeah.
See, that's where I'm intrigued. While I'm somewhat intrigued to get the 650 one because a Mac Mini is 600.
Yeah,
the base model is 600.
Right.
And I've always been curious about getting one of those because I really like them. The compact, small. They're snappy. Where, man, maybe this will be my next PC. Like, I'll just buy this and it'll be my next PC.
Yeah.
Because I could just keep using my mouse and keyboard on it. And I get to get rid of all the junk. the big, desktop and stuff. So that's where like it's somewhat enticing to get the big one if you're really planning on making this your PC.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Great news, exciting, man.
Yeah, man. And for the last topic that we got, basically, still talking about PlayStation or whatever, but Netflix. We mentioned before, probably like 2 podcasts ago, that Netflix was basically planning to get into the video game area. And we've heard like a lot of rumors about Netflix like popping up with like the video game aspect on their subscription service. So it's like free of charge to the highest subscription service that you got or whatever, but you'd be able to play some games.
Right.
And there's been talks of I guess like some data mining of like there being
Netflix.
PlayStation stuff on the Netflix app.
Yeah, they had the data mined imagery of the DualSense controllers in like some type of like graphic design.
Yeah.
And then Ghost of Tsushima. He's standing there looking at the skull face mask.
Right.
The cover art for Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
And so this just set the internet a storm. Like, what does this mean? Does this mean that we're going to start seeing PlayStation games on Netflix?
On Netflix?
We do know that Netflix is trying to get into the gaming world.
Right.
What's weird though is if they were planning on, this is why I don't know if it necessarily means games or just like TV shows.
Right.
And another,
because we don't know if that
know.
interaction is like PlayStation loaning out their or trading out their IPs
right
to Netflix so that they can do more shows, kind of like The Witcher and some of the other ones that's out there now. So that
because
now
we've
you
seen
got
them
Ghost
do
of
that
Tsushima
with
show
games and
and
stuff,
some other
right?
stuff. Maybe a Ratchet and Clank cartoon or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and there is another route too that I didn't even know about or think about, but I was listening to David Jaffe. Okay. He's the guy that created the original God of War on PS2 and Twisted Metal. So I listen to him every now and again. And he was talking about this, and he says, because he worked in the development, he did all this, right? Behind the scenes stuff, develop content, right? He made God of War,
right?
Twisted Metal. And he says, like, oftentimes they would put into their own, systems, images of other games and things to help give inspiration or give ideas to like how to market something or how something looks. And I can absolutely see them like, this is a really great picture, the way they marketed it. Ghost of Tsushima is super popular. Let's utilize this and copy this in some way for our gaming division. And it may not even necessarily be in a partnership with PlayStation.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a route. He says that it could be because he says they do these kind of things. Like behind the scenes, they use other people's, imagery and stuff to like, for inspiration.
Just give you an idea.
Just ideas or how to market or do things
right.
or how to make art in general for games.
Yeah.
He says that could be a route. He doesn't, because no one knows what this means. So it's like, but he's saying that could just be it because they never released this to the public. So this is clearly behind something.
Right.
So it's behind closed doors. So it could be just that. But it could also be, just be them maybe using these video games in like an interactive storytelling way. Didn't they have a show or something like that where you would use your controller and you would like pick a choice?
Yeah.
And the movie would continue like from that choice?
Yeah. There was like 2 or 3 shows that they had on there that they have on there that will allow you to choose like the outcomes or whatever of the show.
Right. Choose the outcomes of the show. Like, what if they were just going to take like Ghost of Tsushima and make like a little interactive show out of it, or even Stranger Things and make an interactive show out of it? The reason why I say that is because if you're going to partner with Sony to make a game division, then why did you go and make your own Netflix game division by hiring the ex-EA director to head up the game division of Netflix if you were just going to partner with Sony anyways? That's what's weird to me about this whole situation.
I hear you on that, but I would also counter that, this is Netflix, right? Been known for movies and shows. So... like, yeah, if you look at Netflix as a whole, as a business, it didn't start creating its own content until well deep in. You know what I mean? It was getting other people's movies and just providing them on there. So why wouldn't they get another company's games, provide them on there while they work on theirs so that they can throw theirs in, as they get them, so that it's not solely weighted upon their games? Because, I mean, like, I feel like that's kind of like possible issue that Google Stadia had with trying to get into games, right? Is that they were essentially trying to make their own games and use those games to hold the weight of Google Stadia. But because of all the other shit that you have to do in order to play third-party games, like you have to buy that game specifically for Google Stadia. You can't you buy it for PC and then it just works on there. You know what I mean? So it's like it didn't work out as far as that goes. It's not versatile enough. So maybe that's just them trying to cover their ass and keep it alive, even if they don't produce something every month or every 3 months or whatever. You know, they start off with like one game, but they offer PlayStation games. And the fact that you could possibly be able to play these games through Netflix instead of having to get like PS Now or whatever, you know, it might be beneficial.
I just think that this would benefit Sony more than it would benefit Netflix.
For sure.
And I think that Netflix is more so like, what do we need Sony for? I think that they can get lots of games without needing Sony's help. And I think, like, in a sense, they hired this Mike Verdu guy to do that, make these connections and get games on their platform without needing like Sony to come along and ask, we need you, we need your help, we need your games, you know, to start us off. I think Netflix is like, no, you need us. We don't need you, like you need us. So maybe it could be the other way around. Maybe it could be Sony trying to ask to be a part of what they've already are beginning to do, develop games for Netflix. But I tend to think it's more along the lines of TV shows, but I do think they're going to have video games. I do believe that. Netflix is going to have video games. Yeah. We just don't know like what direction they're going to be going in and what route they're going to be taking when it comes to like the type of games that they have. Are they going to be doing Ghost of Tsushima? I could never see that. And another route I think they're still trying to figure out is, do we want to go the download route like we were just talking about with the Steam Deck, or the cloud route?
I think you have to. You can't do streaming.
I know.
I don't think that's going to work out. It's already rough enough. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about putting a game that could be almost 120 gigabytes
and trying to run that
on
the
a
cloud.
server and trying to run it through everybody. Like, I think you would do it just like they've done it with the movies, right? With their original content, they allow you to download it to the system or whatever. Like if your phone, you're able to download that to your phone and you're able to watch it offline. Right. You know, but you still got to log into the account. You can't access it, you know, by going into your files on your iPhone or going into your files on your Android or whatever. You have to download it and then access it through the app. So they already know how that works. So I'm sure they can get it so that you download it, but it's in the library of your Netflix.
And the only thing I will say is that I think if anyone has good streaming technology, it's Netflix. And so I think if they try to go the streaming route, I would be curious to maybe try it.
Yeah.
I know I don't like xCloud. I've heard mixed reviews on PS Now's streaming capabilities.
Yeah.
Google Stadia I hear is okay, but it flubs up sometimes too. But Netflix, I would think, might be able to maybe crack this code. I think gaming in the cloud could be part of our future if someone can figure out how to get it to work.
Infrastructure
for if you can get it to work, I know, you need an awesome infrastructure for internet.
You got to have talking cities and towns. Like,
I'm talking like farther in the future, farther in the future,
right?
Not like in
the next year.
What's that movie that came out? Not Blade Runner future, like not that far away, but pretty far, in 10, 15, maybe 20 years from now, we got an internet infrastructure that can handle this type of computing and over the cloud to your home, where if anyone's going to be at the forefront of that, it'd be Netflix. And so I'm really curious about what direction they're going to go here. My first thought is that they're going to do their own thing and, not get help from anybody.
Yeah.
And make, arrangement with developers to produce games and stuff for them.
They need more developers than what they got, though.
They need more developers than what they got. But I do think that that's my gut. And this could be more like TV show agreements and things like that.
I feel like if it was with PlayStation, it would be more TV shows.
Yeah, I lean that way. Yeah. There's no way to know. Like, it could be games, but like I just lean that way,
It just seems more likely. But I'll tell you what, Netflix is looking better as a possible subscription service for that higher tier when the Steam Deck comes out. if it does produce that, because you could then
You're
play
right.
your Netflix stuff on
your
your Steam Deck as well.
And Netflix did say that they're not planning to increase your subscription because of this.
That's interesting too.
So they're just going to give you an additional premiums.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to increase their prices for inflation forever, but they're not increasing it
Not
just
just
because
of
of this, right?
Right.
So that's great news.
Yeah.
It only adds value to the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck's awesome, dude. Like, talk about Xbox One, how they wanted it to be your one thing.
Right.
No, this is
This
is
your
one
one
thing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's that dope.
I mean, if Netflix was able to partnership with PlayStation and able to get like maybe not all of their first party titles, but a large majority of their first party titles, and you'd be able to play them on Netflix. Man,
You have
Netflix
no
is gonna
reason
be
to get
doing
anything but a
excellent,
Steam Deck.
and the Steam is gonna do superbly.
That's why the Steam Deck, they got to be really excited, man, because they're the first one to kind of strike on this.
Yeah,
on this ground.
I'm just waiting for the invitations, man. I'm
know.
waiting for all these other ones to come out to duplicate that shit.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because this is like the first gen. This is like the iPhone. It's like the first company to do it.
It is.
And it's like, this is, I think, the
To be
wave.
that
I
versatile
honestly
and
feel
not
that
have
way.
some
Yeah.
proprietary, operating system and crap with like their proprietary store
Yep.
and all that stuff. Yeah, it's do what you want with it.
I feel like the Steam Deck is like the beginning of a new era. Just like the iPhone was the beginning of a new era for smartphones, like to change the way we, talked and communicated.
Yeah.
This is going to change the way we develop and make games. It's pretty exciting. I mean, I want to be on the ground floor, but I believe, like you're saying, the coming years, who's going to do what's going to happen next? What
Yeah.
are these other guys going to do? with
Is
their
somebody
systems?
going to be able to produce that 1080p or that 4K screen
for
on
the
there
same price and more
then,
power?
Yeah, and be able
You
to
know how
give you
phones
something
just kept
extra.
getting better and better and better year after year after year.
I told you guys in the chat, but this Steam Deck reminds me of a Sega Genesis Nomad. I don't know if you guys know
Or
about it. I'll
Game
probably have a
Gear
picture
too.
right here.
A Game Gear too, right?
Slightly like a Game Gear, but more so like the Nomad, just because the Nomad was so big and bulky.
Yeah.
As
you
were
owned a
holding it,
Nomad.
it
You're
was
one of
huge.
the rare people on
that
planet
you
Earth.
know anyway.
that
that
I know that
Don't
owned
try
a
to play my
Nomad.
boys at Sega like that, man.
Dude, it was dope though because you played the actual Genesis cartridge when inside
you
the
had
system.
the games. You never had to buy a whole nother game. The Game Gear was cool, but it sucked because you had to buy a separate cartridge.
That's what I'm talking
for
about.
something
That
like
whole
but
model.
You don't even have to do that.
That's
on
how
this.
we've always understood gaming handhelds to be. It's
They
their
only-
own
they have their
separate games.
proprietary stuff,
You
yeah.
can't put your Genesis game on it. But the Nomad, you slept on the actual Genesis game. They're like the first to kind of do
They were
this
the
Steam
first to
Deck
do that
thing.
one, yeah.
But no one, I think probably because of the battery power and it was big and clunky, people didn't see the value in it.
Well,
but they
probably
really tried.
because it wasn't as nice looking as the other one was. It had to literally slot a Sega Genesis cartridge.
It wasn't
into
as nice looking.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't slim,
No.
and whatnot, and like real handheldy. You know what I mean? And that bitch weighed. It was beefy.
It was ahead of
and
its time,
this
though.
one, this Steam Deck is beefy. It says like a pound or something like that.
Yeah, my
right?
only complaint I think I will say with the Steam Deck, did you notice how like the D-pad was directly parallel to the buttons, the A, B, X, Y,
Yeah,
when normally it's
but they
below.
have the triggers. They had the thumbsticks and everything at the top.
Yeah, but normally on every single controller we've ever played, Nintendo, it's always below the
angled.
button, so your muscle memory is to go up.
Right.
So I don't know. That's gonna take some muscle memory, maybe able to go to the side.
Well, I mean,
That's my only really.
normally it's
I
like
thought that
you
was
gotta
weird.
go. You gotta go at a slight angle or whatever.
Up,
Yeah, you gotta go up, but you're going like
but now you're gonna go. Now you're gonna go. Now you're gonna go to the side, like I don't know. It's just gonna be a weird way to move my thumb.
I'm hoping that the touch pads that are on the
Oh,
console
you could just
are
use
gonna be-
that. So you can
very
use
good.
maybe use one joystick and the touchpad for the other one.
Yeah,
and
or
can
you
go
could. I
up.
mean, there's touch
Yeah.
pads on both sides.
You
to
could
allow
do
you
that.
to use them both.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's as efficient
That's
as
more
a mouse would
PlayStation,
be.
right? Where like you have your fingers here and you go up for everything for
Yeah.
the D-pad and the buttons. Yeah,
Right.
that would be cool.
So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. But I'm definitely excited as I think more about the capabilities of the Steam Deck and everything else, how it's all going. Like it just seems like the Steam Deck will be like that major system
Totally,
to
man.
change the game.
I think so.
But
I
yeah,
think so, bro. And they're gonna
I-
sell millions of these things.
Yeah, and as far as the Netflix and PlayStation, rumors are concerned, I hope that means that we could see some more things like utilizing PlayStation IP. Like I can only imagine if you went with like an Uncharted show. I mean, I know the movie is going on and everything, but if there was like a show, it might be more versatile with a show to give you all of the different adventures that Drake could get on. or any of the other IPs that they have.
Right.
Maybe taking Days Gone and making that into a show, since you don't want to do it too.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think so,
it's in
man.
the zombie type of universe stuff.
They can make
but
lots
it
of
could
good
be
movies
interesting. It could be compelling
with those Sony IPs. They can make lots of good TV shows with those IPs, man. That'd be a great partnership.
I mean, when you look at the Ratchet and Clank cutscenes and stuff like that,
That's a show.
That's a show. So like,
and when you see with what Disney's doing over there with these shows,
exactly,
like, this is that's a big direction too.
Right.
It seems like almost movies are moving out of the way, and these shows are taking over too, because they're dumping lots of value into these shows.
I mean, in all of those Marvel shows, man, they're literally doing like cinematic cuts. And
Totally.
stuff like that. Like
this is like
and
movie love. Yeah,
This
it's
is
cinematic
this
cuts.
is
Exactly.
movies. Yeah.
This is not like TV shows.
They could
man.
have taken all of Loki and made that into a movie and just gave it to you like that, but they
Yep.
decided to break it up into episodes. I don't know why, because it has almost the same production value as the movies.
That's how I felt with Mandalorian too. It's like, wow, they're really
Mandalorian.
pumping out like these shows. This is nothing like we've ever seen before. Like, this isn't like the side dessert. Like oftentimes the TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all along when they made these shows, they're always kind of like these side appetizer things.
Right.
But the feature-length film, that was the coup de grace.
Right.
These shows are like, no, we're not taking a backseat to anybody. We're like, we're just as important, we're just as awesome, and we're just as unique as the movies are.
Right.
It's interesting, dude. It's so cool. It's a cool time to live, right? It's a cool time to live.
Interesting times that we're getting.
Yeah, all these times we're into.
But
man.
so that's it. That's all we got for you guys this week. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. Smash it, as they say. Write down in the comments what you think would be on the next State of Play. That'll be good to talk about that down there. Do you think it's just going to be Kenna, or do you think they're actually going to show God of War Ragnarok finally? And then tell us what you think about this Steam Deck. I know Brahms, you got some stuff to say about that Steam Deck, man. So let's hear it. Let's discuss this.
Yeah.
And until next week, we'll catch you guys later. Deuces.
Peace.
See you.
I love you, me.